21 council meeting to order.
Well, yes, sir, yes. Council of the City of Memphis, hereby call for order for the transaction meeting to adjourn. All rise, please.
I'd like to recognize our chaplain of the day, the Reverend Willie Boyd Jr., Senior Pastor at Martin Memorial Temple CME Church, invited by our very own Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, and the prayer will be immediately followed by Councilman Ford leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, you have the microphone.
Let us pray. God of wisdom, we seek your help today. Come and let your wisdom fall upon us. O Lord, as the City Council gathers for this meeting, give them clarity so that the Council can effectively tackle each part of today's agenda. Reveal problem areas and show them the best solutions that will apply. Point their eyes to every positive outcome since the last meeting, and let these favorable results and developments encourage every heart in this room. Dear God, help each council member apply your wisdom as they decide on certain matters and make plans. This we pray in Jesus' name. Let us say amen.
Amen. Councilman Ford.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, you're recognized. Hey, Andy.
Greetings. Be it hereby known that Reverend Willie Boyd Jr., in recognition of a life of exemplary qualities, outstanding service to the city, meritorious involvement in humanitarian affairs, and demonstrated concern for governmental processes, has been appointed Chaplain of the Day of the Memphis City Council, and is hereby entitled to all the honors, rights, privileges, and prerogatives appertaining to the office and to the display of this certificate, given under the seal of this 20th day of July, 2021, signed by our chairperson, Frank Colbert Jr., and presented by myself, Jamita Swearingen. We certainly appreciate you coming and taking time out of your busy schedule. You've certainly blessed our hearts, and don't be surprised when we call you back. We also have a token of our appreciation. I know you're always cleaner than the Board of Health, but we have something that will assist you in adorning your outfits. But we appreciate you and thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for leading us and getting us all back here together. We greatly appreciate it. Without objection, so moved. Madam Comptroller, please call the roll.
Canale. Here. Carlisle. Here. Easter Thomas. Ford. Present. Johnson. Present. Jones. Logan. Present. Morgan. Here. Robinson. Present. Smiley. I'm here. Vice Chairwoman Swearingen.
Present.
Warren. Present. Chairman Colbert.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Madam Vice Chairman, have you read the meeting minutes of our July 6th, 2021 meeting?
I have read the minutes and find them to be in order, and I move for the adoption of the July 6th meeting minutes.
Madam Comptroller, can I have a screen? Everybody hold tight. We're getting the screens ready. There we go. Move it. It's been moved by Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, seconded by Councilman Smiley. Seeing no members of the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on previous meeting minutes. Please prepare the screen to vote. Cast your votes. Madam Comptroller, would you show the screen, please? Has everybody voted?
Thank you.
Please reveal the votes.
Carlisle, yes. Connelly, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Johnson, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Kovac, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. All right, everybody. Welcome to the July 20th, 2021 regular meeting of the Memphis City Council. A notice of the meeting was placed on the City Council webpage regarding how the public may electronically access the meeting and a recording of the meeting and how to provide written comments concerning any agenda item or any other matter pertaining to the meeting. Public comments were to be submitted to the Memphis City Council 24 hours prior to today's meeting. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen will read those comments at the appropriate time. She will only read those comments that include the requisite information, which was the person's name and address. Incomplete comments or those received late will be sent to the council records and placed in the file. Any comment cards submitting for planning and zoning cases will be included in the record, and we will let you speak. So on items 3 through 13, if you have want to pull a public comment card and speak, you may see Officer Young and pull a comment card. Be sure to note the case that you wish to speak to, but we are only hearing public comments on 3 through 13, which are the planning and zoning cases. That being said, let's roll. Madam Comptroller, call item 1.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any held or dropped items?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the holds. Colleagues, we have holds on items 4, 5, 13, and 34. To repeat, items 4, 5, 13, and 34. They will all be held until the next meeting. If you're here for any of those cases, you can go ahead and leave. If you want. You can stay if you'd like. Okay, that being said, now let's go to item 1. Madam Comptroller.
Item number 1 is a resolution approving an honorary street name change of Joubert Street between Kansas and Riverside in honor of the Temprees. This resolution is sponsored by Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you very much. Council Lady Johnson is proceeding to the front. Y'all come on up front, please. Can we get pictures too?
Good afternoon. It is my honor to have with me and joining us today is the famous Temprees. To my far left is Bo Washington, Gerald Scott, and Dale Cash. These gentlemen, young men, have been here in the city of Memphis for over 50 years, providing community service as well as singing and promoting the city of Memphis throughout the city and the country and overseas from wherever he's from. So at this time, we would like to move the honorary mention for a naming of a street to the three of you. Whereas from time to time, the Memphis City Council has seen fit to name certain roads to honor individuals worthy of recognition. And whereas the legendary musical group, the Temprees, is worthy of recognition for their storied career and their contributions to Memphis music history. And whereas friends since junior high school in the mid-60s, Jasper Jabbo Phillips, the lead singer, Harold Scott, and DeWine Dale Cabin were joined by Larry Dotson, who departed the group and earned fame as a member of the Vasquez. And whereas with early performances under the group name The Love Men, the group became a trio and signed its first record deal with a subsidiary of Stax Records in 1970 as the Temprees. And whereas with multiple hit songs and the release of 3 albums, Love Men, Love Made, and Temprees 3 with Stax producers, the Temprees enjoyed much success to the collapse of tax records. And whereas upon reuniting in 1990, the Temprees released a fourth album in 2000 called Because We Love You, and under the Memphis label High Stack. And whereas the 50th anniversary of Stack would not have been complete without the Temprees' inclusion of the group's biggest hit, dedicated to the one I love, on the 50 Sound double album box set in 2007. And whereas the reputation as a trio whose soulful ballads featured their melodious voices and smooth sounds, the ultimate death of Jasper Jabo Phillips in 2001 meant Scott and Kevin had to find an equally talented replacement, which they found in Kevin's brother, JC. And whereas the fifth studio album entitled The Heart, which included a cover of Earth, Wind, and Fire hit Reason, featured Solomon Soul Young, who replaced J.C. Cabin, and the group today continues to delight ordinances locally and across the country with original member Harold Scott and Dale Cabin and new member Walter Bow Washington. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Memphis City Council that thanks and appreciation be expressed to the Temprees, whose outstanding musical talent has been shared with audiences for over 50 years and has added to Memphis' performance as an incomparable music city. Be it further resolved that Jubert Street between Kansas and Riverside be declared the Tempree Street. In honor of the legendary Tempree, be it further resolved that the city engineer is requested to fix suitable signs designating the public roads. This was adopted July 20, 2021. Cheyenne Johnson, Councilwoman, and Frank Corvette, Chairperson. Again, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
We appreciate you so much. What you have done. We have a token of appreciation for your service and what you have contributed to the musical business here in the city of Memphis and throughout the country. And we'll give a thank you. Keep up the work. These gentlemen are still working. They have
Still working.
not performing.
We need Friday going to L.A. for a love fest.
So people are still trying to dedicate it to the one they love. Okay, gentlemen, y'all have anything you'd like to say?
I'd like to thank the Untitled Council for giving us this honor, and we're not taking it for granted. It took a while. It's been 50 years, almost 51 going this year that we've been together. And we're still kicking it.
I would like to thank this governing body for recognizing that we've been here all along. We're still here. Call upon us anytime. All right, the mayor has already done that. He's already called upon us. So if you need us for anything, the Temprees are here for you, Memphis, Tennessee.
All right.
I just want to say thank you very much to the council, to the city of Memphis, to all that have supported Temprees all these years, and everything else they said.
Thank you very much. Council Lady Robinson, you're recognized.
I just want to thank you all for your service and the melodious songs that I've heard all of my life. But you shouldn't have said this in this council room. You said, call on us. I'm calling on you to do just one stanza of any song right now. Yes, we got to have one stanza. Come on.
We're going to start it a little bit like this. While I'm away. Come on.
Ooh, baby. All right now.
For you, ooh, baby, because it's hard for me. And the darkest hour is just before dawn. Life can never be exactly like you want it to be. But I can be satisfied, girl,
just knowing that you love me. There's one thing I want you to do, especially for me. Hey, there's something everybody needs. Thank you very much.
Okay, Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you for that rendition. Colleagues, I had the pleasure this past weekend of watching it. This documentary, it's on Hulu, called Summer of Soul. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. Another one was Watts Stacks. I don't know if you've seen that, but the first of my comments was really just to speak of the importance of public education and music education. When I look back and the stories that I've heard about Stax and the music scene that existed in Memphis some 50 plus years ago, a lot of the foundation of that was set in Memphis City schools. And one of the things that took place, and when I was just a child in school, was the reduction of arts and arts education in the school system. So as I've also said, is that we might not be in the education business, but we still can be in the children business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councilman Ford, you're recognized.
Thank you to the 10th Praise. I told them upstairs, y'all didn't need no instruments. Y'all had voices.
Indeed.
That's what y'all used to do from Carver and everything else. You know, a lot of great singers that could sing. You know, if a lot of times now, if you don't have the instruments and you just hear some people trying to sing, you find out they can't sing without the instruments. But you all have always proven yourselves as great. I grew up with you all. Hey, beautiful music, meaningful music. And we really kind of need to go back to that sometime instead of some of the music that some of these young people are listening to today. So y'all just, hey, we're going to invite you, and hey, I got some things coming up, so I'll be calling you too, where they can really hear some real music. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilman Ford. It was moved by Council Lady Johnson, second by Council Lady Swearingen. Seeing no members in the queue, why don't we just do this voice by acclamation? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nope. It's going, yes, I didn't mean that. In the opinion of the chair, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Before we roll forward, colleagues just heard item 47 is withdrawn. That is the St. Nick Road case. Item 47. So if you were here for item 47, you can, of course, stick around, but we're not going to talk about it. Okay? All right, let's roll. Madam Comptroller, call item 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution honoring and congratulating Rachel Peck for being named the NCAA Individual Champion at Stanford University and the 2021 Anika Award winner as the nation's top female college golfer. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Canale.
Councilman Canale, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rachel, I'm sorry you had to follow that. We won't ask you to sing at the end, though. Colleagues, members of the public, as someone with a true love and admiration for the game of golf, it is a distinct honor and privilege of mine to recognize this outstanding Memphian today. She's the daughter of Robert and Stacey Heck, sister to Abby and Anna, who are also accomplished golfers in their own right. Colleagues, before I read this proclamation, Rachel attends Stanford University, who is not new to talented golfers. And I want to read you a list of firsts and seconds that this lady has accomplished. NCAA Individual Champion, first in school history. Ping WGCA Player of the Year, first in school history. Annika Award winner, first in school history. Honda Sport Award for Golf winner, first in program history. Pac-12 Golfer of the Year, second in school history. Ping WGCA Freshman of the Year, second in school history. Pac-12 Newcomer of the Year, second in school history. WGCA First Time All-American. Golf Week First Team All-American. All Pac-12 First Team. WGCA All-American Scholar. Pac-12 Golfer of the Year, Golfer of the Month. Became the third woman to sweep the postseason in NCAA history. Scoring average 69.72, NCAA record. Wins 6, school record, single season. Low tournament, 16 under at the 2021 Fresno State Classic, a new school record for 54 holes. Colleagues, if I continue to read her accomplishments, we'd be here all night. So I'm going to move on to the resolution. Whereas time as a student athlete is an important and formative experience for youth in our community, and excellence in sports is worthy of recognition. And whereas a 2020 graduate of St. Agnes Academy, 19-year-old Rachel Heck is a rising sophomore at Stanford University, majoring in political science with a concentration in international relations, while serving as an Air Force ROTC cadet. And whereas while attending high school, Rachel Heck was titled the 4th-time Tennessee Individual State Champion, 4-time Commercial Appeals Best of the Preps Golfer, 2-time Athlete of the Year, 5-time Rolex Junior All-American. Has played in 3 professional majors, including the 2017 U.S. Women's Open, the 2018 Evian Championship, and the 2019 A&A Inspiration. Represented the United States on 3 winning international teams, including the 2017 Junior Solheim Cup, 2018 Junior Ryder Cup, 2019 Junior Solheim Cup, and whereas known as the nation's top female college golfer, Rachel Heck set a new NCAA scoring record of 69.72 as her college scoring average. She is the Annika Award winner, Ping WGCA Player of the Year, Ping WGCA Freshman of the Year, Pac-12 Player of the Year, Pac-12 Newcomer of the Year, Honda Sport Award winner for golf, and she tied for 3rd place in the 2001 Augusta National Women's Amateur, and tied for 35th place in the 2021 U.S. Women's Open. And whereas recently Rachel Heck has won 6 collegiate tournaments and 9 starts, including the NCAA Individual Championship, the Stanford Regional, and the Pac-12 Championship, she now holds the title of the 3rd woman in history to sweep the postseason. Now therefore be it resolved that the Memphis City Council honors and congratulates Rachel Heck on her many achievements and championships. Be it further resolved that the entire Memphis City Council joins with the citizens in Memphis in applauding Rachel Heck on an amazing job well done, and encourages her to keep it in the fairway as she takes on many more rounds. With that, Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Hey.
Rachel, on behalf. On behalf of a very proud city government and a very proud city, you represent us very well. And we hope that you continue the good work in representing us so well. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you for being with us.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you so much to the council for this incredible honor. I'm just so blessed to be from such a special city. I think some of my best memories growing up were going with my dad to the Grizzlies games, especially during the playoffs, because it was so cool to see the whole city of Memphis come together. And I felt so proud to be a Memphian, and to be on the receiving end of that support is really special. So thank you.
Rachel, on behalf of the council, we wish you the utmost of success going forward in your golf career, but equally important to the dad of a 14-year-old, the fact that you go to Stanford means that you are of the highest academic caliber, and I strongly encourage you to continue pursuing that educational component, because you have what you show on the golf course, you're going to show in life. Thank you. Colleagues, it's been moved by Councilman Canale, seconded by Councilman Smiley. I see no members of the queue. Let's go by voice vote acclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same rights and privileges. Hearing none, it's in opinion of the chair. Unanimous. Passes. Congratulations. All right, let's keep the positive momentum going. Madam Comptroller, call item 3, please.
Item number is a resolution approving an amendment to the Tanglewood Place Plan Development at 795 Tanglewood Street and one adjacent parcel. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. It was held from July 6th. The case number is PD 21-09.
Thank you very much. Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, gave no recommendation, and with that, I move it to the floor.
All right, it's been moved by Canale. Need a second. Seconded by Councilman Ford. I see no members in the queue. Staff is on hand should any member wish a presentation. Is there any opposition to this case? Yeah. I have no cards on this case. You're recognized.
Mr. Chair, I think was held from last week for audio. Yeah, if we could get a presentation on this. We were in the middle of a presentation last week and we had to kick it.
As per Councilman's request, Mr. Whitehead, would you give us a quick presentation, please? Go.
Thank you, Mr. Andy, you got it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joshua Whitehead with the Division of Planning and Development. If you can advance one more slide, Ms. Hayes. One more. This property is in the northern Cooper Young area on the north side of Tanglewood, the west side of Tanglewood and on the north side of Elsie. Currently, this property is encumbered by a warehouse building built in 1938 and several vacant properties. One more slide. One more. Here's the warehouse that was recently vacated by the original builder of it in 1938, Memphis Metal Manufacturing, which has moved east. And you can see the former residential parcels that were once occupied and now vacant there on the north side of Elsie. Next slide. Here's a zoning overview. A portion of this property is within the Cooper Young Landmarks District, so the portion of the property that is within that historic overlay will be reviewed by the Landmarks Commission, but generally speaking, most of the area in the immediate vicinity has reverted to single family. There's a big, well, on this map, a very small rectangle to the left or west of the property that is currently being improved as a small lot residential development. Next slide. Next slide. This proposal went to you about a year ago as a completely single-family development. It has since been converted to a quadplex development. In other words, each of the buildings, rather than being single-family, are now proposed to have 4 units apiece. Next slide. And I have both of those. Here's some pictures of the current layout. Next slide. Next slide. And here's the graphical piece of information that's in your resolution that is subject for your approval. Some of these units are likely to be lost due to some of the conditions of approval within this, the narrative part of your resolution, the conditions of approval, namely the westernmost units, because this project is conditioned to require a turnaround, likely a hammerhead turn at the end of Elsie. If you recall, a few years ago when that project to the west was approved, it was approved with a private and gated street. So Elsie will be truncated there. So there will need to be a turnaround since this is over 150 feet according to the fire code. With that, Mr. Chairman, this comes to you with a recommendation of approval from staff, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Carlisle, do you wish to be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If I may, from the applicant, just get a little understanding of the decision to go from single-family residential to multifamily. Four more units is considered multifamily. Yeah, just a little context would be helpful.
Mr. McCaskill, would you step forward, please? May I have your name and address for the record, please?
Tim McCaskill, 7891 State Hills Boulevard.
The floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Carlisle, once we got the original plan development approved, the developers saw a house on Rembrandt that's a large home format, which is what this is. And they liked it a lot better than just doing the cookie cutter 11 single family houses in there. Also, it's only 5 buildings instead of 11. So we have a lot more green space. All the parking is into the rear of the buildings where you don't see it from the street, but all the buildings face the street, which is what OPD encouraged us to try to accomplish, so we look outward rather than inward. So it's just, I think it's going to be a lot better looking development is the bottom line.
Thank you, Mr. McCaskill. Mr. Whitehead, or Administrator Whitehead, do we have any opposition to this case?
Not providing verbal testimony, but providing written testimony.
In the record.
And it's included in your staff report.
Thank you. Chair, I'll yield for now.
Thank you very much. Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the owner a Memphian or from out of town?
The owner's from right here. In fact, he's sitting right here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Johnson, you're recognized.
I got it. Thank you. My question is, are we dealing with rental units on your second proposal or either your first proposal? Are these rental units or what are they?
These units will be for rental. They're all going to be about 1,200 square feet and rent for about $2,000 a month, which is pretty high end for the Cooper Young area.
The original concept, were those rental units as well, or were those single family?
Those are single family houses. There was no condition of rental or not.
Okay, I guess you said, thank you, sir. Mr. Josh, in regards to the people in opposition, what type of comments did they have? What were they opposed to?
Well, this site is located right at the edge of a single-family district and looking the other way, right at the edge of a burgeoning multifamily district. If you recall, about a year ago, this body approved a development at the corner of Central and Cooper called Central Yards. Yeah. And it was a 7-story development. That's just immediately northeast of this site. One could justify smaller apartments such as quadplexes to be a transition going from the northeast to the southwest, but conversely, one could also say that's inappropriate going from the southwest to the northeast. The line between multifamily and single family should be somewhere north of here. So that's, it's zoning 101. The principle of zoning is pretty easy: industrial, commercial, multifamily, single family. The catch is where does the line go between those things?
Okay, what did your staff recommend?
We recommended approval, looking at it more from the northeast towards the southwest versus the other way. But one could equally say, I think a lot of the comments are pointing the other direction.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Carlisle, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think where I'm hung up is that the neighborhood and Cooper Young is pretty involved, pretty sophisticated neighborhood association, and they, both on Central Yards and this original proposed development were unanimously supportive, and now with the current proposal have come out and spoken out against it. So I guess that's where my rub is a little bit. Is that we're going from single families, which you could still rent, but there at least would be an opportunity to purchase your own single family home down the road versus, we keep calling it multifamily development. It's like, correct me if I'm wrong here, 4 or more units is defined as multifamily, right? In a single structure?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's multifamily. So, I guess that's where I'm kind of hung up.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen.
Thank you very kindly. We did have a meeting with the community, and I was there on the meeting, and there weren't any individuals that were in opposition during the meeting that we had with Mr. McCaskill. So I'm in favor of it because I'm the voice of the constituents in that area, and they approve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Lady Swearingen. Seeing no other members in the queue is moved by Canale, seconded by Ford. Assume you're ready to vote on item number 3. Madam Comptroller, prepare the screens. Cast your votes. Please reveal our votes.
Carlisle, no. Canale, no. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, no. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, abstained. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Thank you. Yes, sir. Item 4 and 5 are hold, so we go to Madam Comptroller, call item 6.
Item number 6 is a resolution approving the in-town plan development at 771 and 775 Tanglewood Street. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is PD 21-11.
Thank you very much. Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Canale, seconded by Councilman Carlisle. We have staff on hand. Should any member wish presentation? Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item number 6. Madam Comptroller, prepare the screens. Cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Councilman Warren, I'm going to wait on calling item number 7 until our owners are in town. So, Madam Comptroller, please call item 8.
Item number 8 is a resolution approving a special use permit located at the subject property located at the block bound by South Front Street, Peabody Place, South Main Street, and Beale Street. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. It was held from July 6th. The case number is SUP 2111.
Thank you very much. Councilman Canale, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met. We did not receive a presentation, did not give a recommendation. I would request a presentation at this time, and with that, I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Canale, moved by Councilman Canale, seconded by Councilman Smiley. Mr. Whitehead, give us a presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Josh Whitehead with the Division of Planning and Development. This is a request for a parking garage in the current surface parking lot, commonly known as the Orpheum parking lot on the north side of Beale, between Front and Main, and on the south side of Peabody Place. It's pictured on the right hand of the screen. Next slide, please. The map before you on the left is our zoning map. This is in our most intense zoning district, our CBD, Central Business Zoning District. And on the right are the land uses, institutional, and for some reason, the parking lot here is included as institutional, but MLGW to the southeast, Orpheum is directly to the south, Wagner Place condominiums to the, Waterford to the west. Next slide. Here's some pictures of this parking lot. Again, the Orpheum is in the background on the left, looking towards the southwest. Next slide. This is before you because a special use permit under our zoning ordinance is required for parking garages in this zoning district, the CBD zoning district. And with our special use permit application, we've received both elevations and floor plans of the building. The floor plan of the first floor does show that there will be activated ground floor space along the street. So the parking garage itself begins on the first floor, but only in the internal portions of the building. And then the upper floors are completely parking garage. This is the first floor parking plan, first floor plan. Next slide. And here are the elevations. I believe, Mr. Chairman, the applicant has at his ready color renderings of these elevations that you will see in a moment. Next slide. We looked at the Memphis 3.0 plan, and we found that this proposal is consistent with the 3.0 plan. And with that, Mr. Chairman, this did go to the Land Use Control Board, and it received a recommendation of approval from both that board and staff. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Administrator Whitehead. Seeing no members in the queue, Who's pointing at me? Oh, Mr. Young, you wish to be recognized?
Yes, sir.
All right, may I have your name and address for the record?
Paul Young, 5824 Garden River Cove, Memphis, Tennessee. Hello, Paul Young, President of Downtown Memphis Commission. I wanted to speak to this item, and if we want, oh, they've already done it. I have a couple of more images that I'd like to show. But before I go into the images, I just wanted to speak to the spirit of the project. This mobility center is a 960 space garage that'll provide much needed parking in the heart of downtown. As we look to bring more businesses and people downtown, parking is a critical amenity. I can assure you that every time we talk to companies that are looking at moving down here, parking is one of the #1 things that they talk about. In many instances, it's required by their investors that they have parking or access to parking to demonstrate project viability. So today we're requesting approval of a special use permit for this project. We are looking to close on the loan for this project by the end of the year, starting construction by the top of 2022, and we have about a 14-month construction period. So we'll be looking at early 2023 to have this project completed. So these brief slides will just give you a little bit more additional context than what Mr. Whitehead just gave. So if we can flip, this slide just gives you the context of where it's located so you can see the project site. This next slide just shows the heights in comparison to some of the buildings that are around it. We're about at 80 feet right now. You can look and see that it's in context with all of the surrounding buildings. We'll go through the next couple of slides. You've actually seen some of this, but I do want to point out a few things on this one. So if you look to the right of that image, you'll see about an 8,500 square foot space. You've heard us say mobility center and not just a parking garage. That's because we want to focus on not just parking, but also all of the mobility options that people have. So you'll see the 8,500 square foot space is capable of accommodating a larger tenant in that space, or we could break it into smaller retail bays. So we're looking at making the street front activated along Main Street. If you look along Beale Street, which is on the bottom part of that image, you'll see that we have ride share, drop off, and pickup locations. On the left side of the screen, in the corner, you'll see a restaurant space, about 2,500 square feet. And then to the top of that block, you'll see that we have spaces for bike share programs and things of that nature. So we want this to be all encompassing. So we can go through the next couple of slides. That just shows a traditional floor plan, about 176 spaces on a traditional floor, as noted. Okay, bring it down, I got you. All right, we're gonna go quickly. On the bottom floors, it's a little bit smaller. So this is just an elevation. So here's some of the color images here. And on this next slide, I just want to point out one thing. So if we can go to the next one, you'll see the Monumental Stair. This has a little bit of color. What you see are the perforated panels. So these provide some attractive features to the garage, but it also allows for light to get in and out and provide visibility for the people that are in there. So it's a safety mechanism as well. And you also note the Monumental Stair. We wanted this to be a signature element of the project. And this is the part, the phase where you're looking right now is if you're on Beale Street. So this is directly across the street from the Orpheum. And so we'll just flip through the next couple of slides. They just give the other sides of the building. So you can see all corners, and we'll stop there, and I'll welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I see no speakers, members in the queue. Therefore, I assume you're ready to vote. It was moved by Canale, seconded by Councilman Smiley. Please cast your votes on items 8.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Madam Comptroller, please call item 9.
Item number 9 is a resolution approving a planned development for property located at the west side of Elvis Presley Boulevard between East Holmes Road and Scape Road. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is PD 21-18.
Thank you very much, Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Canale, second by Council Lady Johnson. Staff is here. Should any member wish yet another presentation? But seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote. Again, moved by Canale, seconded by Johnson. Please cast your votes on item 9.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Corbett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Please call item 10.
Item number 10 is a resolution approving the Vasquez Cleanup LLC plan development at the subject property located at 3969 and 3975 Gerald Avenue. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is PD 21-13.
Thank you, Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Canale, second by Councilman Smiley. Staff is here. Should you wish yet another presentation? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote on item 10. Please prepare the screen. Cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Corbett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Let's go back to item 7. Councilman Warren, is our applicant present?
Yes, sir, he is.
All right, and he wishes to go forward with this case?
Yes, he wishes to speak to it.
Very good. He just wishes to speak to it. Does he want me to call the case?
I think after he speaks to it, he's going to ask for chair's advice.
Let's call the case and go ahead and get it going.
Oh, thank you.
Item 7.
Number 7 is a resolution approving a special use permit located at 2906 Old Austin P Highway containing 0.27 acre in the commercial mixed use -3 district. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. This was held from July 6th. The case number is SUP 20-16.
Thank you, Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, gave this case no recommendation. Instead, I move to the floor.
Bring it to the floor. It's been brought to the floor by Councilman Canale, second by Council Lady Johnson. I assume, sir, you're the owner?
Yes, Mr.
Right,
Chair.
may I have your name and address for the record?
Thompson, 1557 East Shelby Drive, 38116, Whitehaven.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You had a question?
Not at this time. I would like to say we are in a unique position. As of Saturday and Sunday night, we got what I consider to be an opportunity to look at what Dr. Warren and other council members just brought to our attention. I would ask that he address that. We just spoke recently. I am going to be acting graciously because we have to do due diligence. I appreciate so very well Councilperson Logan, who has really worked this, along with other people, those who made it to the location, and those who could not. But cutting to the chase, we have a great opportunity, Mr. Chair. If we looked at this proposal that just been put on the floor, and I've worked it the last 48 hours, we'd have the only establishment of this type. And one thing I've avoided, and I've tried to tell the 6 or 7 council people, or 8, starting out with Councilperson Super District Smiley, is that I would not advise these clients to put what they could put there. I like what is being proposed, but I also like due diligence, and from a very professional standpoint, that they be afforded full due process. They've been given notice and an opportunity to be heard, not just on the proposal, but on the underlying aspects of what they plan to do. I tried to come in as well as they have. One is a lifetime resident, Chef Nickelberry, and a partner, and try to work out something on a comprehensive plan that the council lady talks about and that my council person from Whitehaven, District 3, has taught us very well. All the stakeholders, they have the very same interests that any opposition would have. They both agree that we're going to need a minimum of just 2 weeks to look very carefully at that great proposal that Dr. Jeff Warren has thrown in our laps. I do not like to look a gift horse in the mouth. And I feel like if we don't look at this, we'd be doing that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Quickly.
The issue is that if we vote this down, then what they do is they have the option to just put a garage there. They don't need our permission for a garage. However, if we give them time to do due diligence, I think what that may allow them to do is to come back with a proposal for a bike rental and a canoe rental spot. So I think we should be aware that it might do us some good to give them some time and allow them to hold this for 2 weeks. And I so move to hold. Thank you.
Okay, before I entertain the hold, let me knock out a couple things real quick. All right, Mr. Thompson, are you the owner?
I am not the owner. The owner is Frederick Finstack, and he's from the Octopus Group. In addition, his business partner is Jeff Nickelberry, who's been in that district now about 40 years. I am not the owner. I am their consultant, their representative.
Okay, you're not an attorney, you're just a consultant.
No, I'm not. I'm just their consultant.
Okay, real quick. Now, Administrator Whitehead, because I want to make sure I do this correctly. If they come back, because Dr. Warren has suggested a different use to this property, could they go through and change the use under this application, or do they need to withdraw the application and come back with this new use?
So the big question, Josh Whitehead with the Division of Planning and Development, the big issue would be notice and whether the public was notified over a particular project. Obviously, this body massages conditions on all cases, and that doesn't trigger re-notification. But a different use is one of those more significant items. I guess my answer to your question is it depends. If it's a less intense use, we could probably get away with re-notifying that in the agenda versus mailed notice. But you know, that's a small universe. I think on most cases we want to re-notify. So what we've done in the past, in the abundance of caution, rather than have him withdraw, is remand it to the Land Use Control Board. We will do revised notice. He doesn't have to withdraw. He doesn't have to pay new fees. That covers all bases. So that's probably my, as I've gone around the world, that's my suggestion.
So this body can vote, hang on. So this body could vote, in fact, to remand it to Land Use Control Board by a simple majority of those voting, all right, by a simple motion. Sounds like I can do that. All right. I have several council members wishing to be in the queue. Council Lady Logan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. My request to speak was in the queue initially. We've held this since March. We've held it for April and May and June. And in March, I noted that the voice of the people was to not approve this car sales. If you notice on the application, it says used car sales. And again, just in the abundance of caution and to make sure that we have got all of the voices, we had a town hall meeting on Saturday with myself, Councilman Carlisle, and Councilman Canale to once again get the voice of the people. And again, they said, we do not want a car lot. And we're here to represent the voice of the people and again, saying we do not want to use car sales at that location, and that's what this application is for. So I would like to move the question and not in favor of a car lot. And colleagues, I would hope that you would support me in this effort and the citizens of District 1 that have voiced their opinion. And we've mentioned that several times. I've given you reason. We wouldn't come to your districts and say what should be there when the people in the district have already voiced their opinion not to. Now, if there's something else that's going to be put there, we're all for that, but that has nothing to do with this vote against this car lot or for it if you're for it, colleagues. But that's what's on the table right now is a vote for a used car sale. And you have to have a permit for that. You have to come before a special use permit. You have to come before the council. And I would ask the council to listen to the voice of the people. You all could have come Saturday and you would have heard them say that that's not what we want. So the only option is, at this point, is to call for the vote. And that's what I would like to do. So I move that we call for the vote.
I need a two-thirds vote to call the question. Why don't we do this? Because I have other council members in the queue. Why don't we hear from them if that's okay? Might I make a suggestion before I go to the other council members?
Mr. Chair.
Advice is always free.
I love it.
I don't think this is going to pass, sir, okay, if it goes to a vote. It doesn't sound like they even want to remand it. They want it gone. My advice to you is withdraw the case and refile it, perhaps as Dr. Warren has suggested. It's a little bit more expense, but it gets the used car lot taste out of everybody's mouth.
Chair.
Please.
We're not asking for withdrawal. We're asking
you can withdraw it
for
at any
vote.
That is my understanding. That's absolutely right. We can withdraw it at any time.
You can withdraw it at any time.
The same as we can make it into tomorrow.
All right.
Home Depot, open it up as a garage. We can do it right now.
Okay.
Which is what I'm trying to avoid.
A garage is not
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you, Councilor Logan. Councilman Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I think that is exactly what I've heard from the people in Raleigh is that they don't think they need another garage.
Amen.
Okay, excuse me, sir. They're trying to, I believe, take that area and make an economic driver out of it. I think the idea of having a canoe and a bike rental shop in that area is something that most of the people would get behind. And it would be a change in the other businesses that are there and allow, I think, Councilwoman Logan to really push the changes that she's looking for. And, if what we do is we vote this down and don't remand it, then they put a garage in because they'll have to, I don't know if they have to pull a special use permit, Mr. Whitehead, or not to have a bike deal. Mr. Whitehead, can you tell me if they're running a bike shop, do they have to have a special use permit if they're running a kayak shop? Mr. Whitehead, do you know if you can answer that question for me?
I'm sorry, there was another council.
Yeah, I could see that he was there. So what I was trying to find out is, will they have to spend another $1,800 if they go and try to put a bike shop, a bike rental shop, and or a canoe rental shop in that facility? Will they lose this $1,800 if they withdraw it? How would that work?
Councilman Warren, some of those uses would be permitted in the CMU3 zoning district. So at that point, there would be no zoning fee required. They would just get, whatever permits are required for those uses.
So they're not going to lose, they will essentially lose their money by withdrawing. But, if we remand it to you, it can come back with a different use. They can't possibly put a garage in there. I guess the idea is, how do we stop a garage from going in? And I think what I'm hearing from the representative is, if we vote this down, they can just start a garage, and I really don't think we need a garage there. So I'm wondering if we remand it to you and give them enough time to come up with this deal, does that give us any extra leverage as far as making sure they have something other than a garage there?
Hold on, let him finish.
So the property is zoned right now to allow auto repair, which I think is what we're calling a garage. So
the same thing.
So regardless of whether this body remands this case, rejects this case, that fact does not change. This is currently zoned CMU3.
They can do
auto
it by
repair
right.
is permitted by right in CMU3.
Okay. Council Lady Logan, do you have a question of Mr. Whitehead?
I do. Well, no, none of Mr. Whitehead.
All right, then can I go back through the queue since we have members that have not spoken yet? All right, Council Lady Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. I think I'm just wanting clarity too. If we vote this this applicant down for his request, then the applicant can tomorrow open up a repair garage shop with no problem.
That is incorrect. He can. That is a permitted use. And
he can?
Yes, ma'am, by right.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe is what this use, what this structure and this site has been used for several decades.
Okay. Is there a limit on the number of cars he can have on the property in that situation?
Yes. We amended the UDC several years ago to limit the number of cars awaiting repair. And if you pass that number, and it's based upon your square footage of your site, it has to be located in the back behind a landscaped fence. That's what the code says. That particular provision of the code probably fills up most of our docket in environmental court.
Okay, so you can have 20 or 30 cars at that particular site because it's a pretty nice sized back lot for parking.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's the whole point, is not wanting any cars in this particular area on a consistent basis. So I think that we should consider giving them additional time to look at this rather than almost forcing these individuals into a setting. They have no other choice. They're trying to make a living. Yeah. But if you don't, I think they're going to open up a car repair shop over there, and I hate to see that take place. You know, last time we spoke, you were going to try to come up with something that would limit the number of cars for some type of exchange. I thought that was going to be worked out. Did y'all ever work on that? Like you said, it was a drop-off and a pickup arrangement. And we said we're going to put a limit on the number of cars. So did y'all ever work to try to resolve that possibility?
We have not had an opportunity to look at that, but let me reiterate, beyond talking about a garage, the three things that Councilperson Logan requested, which is number one, Mr. Chair and members of this illustrious board. She said, number one, I need you to be good corporate citizens. If you gave me an opportunity, I have never had a client that has spent the county money in this district. The main client owns 107 houses in the district, and he's not 40 years old. Been with Qualites for 14 years and never had a complaint. The other one owns Adline's Wings, which is the top restaurant in the district, $1 million business, and has never had one complaint. They are developing not just this location. The calls I got this morning were about two things, and one was from the former council person. They're not even aware that they can do a garage, members of this council. And I hated that I had to inform them of that, Council Smiley. They can do a garage. But I have advised against it. Let me say it again. Because I did number two, which is that we would have a comprehensive plan or scheme, as in good. That is what I got from District 3 in living in Whitehaven for almost 60 years. We are looking at developing that entire area. We own the beauty shop. We just purchased the daycare. We're looking at getting a property across the street. And get this. I rode the district on Sunday. He owns property all up and down Austin P. Commercial property. He plans to develop this district better than Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, and Patriot Bank. His net worth is in excess of $10 million. He almost got what you got, Chase Carlisle. Stay with me.
Come on, Mr. Thompson, wrap it up.
Mr. Chair, this council to develop Raleigh Frazier like Whitehaven's been developed, like downtown's been developed.
Be careful. Anything else?
That's it. I thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Councilman Smiley, then Canale, then Carlisle, then Councilman Ford. You want in the queue? Yeah. All right, please get in the queue. Councilman Smiley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. trying to figure out, I think I spoke on this issue last council meeting when we were discussing it. And so I guess let me ask this question. So Councilman Canale, Councilwoman Logan held a town hall, and they're of the opinion that the folks who live in Raleigh don't want a used car lot. How many people live in Raleigh? Do we know? So I'm assuming several thousand. How many people showed up to the town hall? From what I'm gathering, less than 20 people.
There were 12 people.
So let's assume, so I think a safe number is about 20 people. And I think if we assume that 20 people who showed up to a meeting is the voice of all of the residents in Raleigh, I think that would be a false assumption. And then my next point, I don't believe that those 17 people, those 20 people, those 25 people make up the voice of everybody who lives in Raleigh. I would suggest or be of the opinion that the majority of people didn't show up because they weren't opposed to this. I think that's a fair assumption as well. And then I'm having a hard time voting against this because what we're talking about is entrepreneurs. We're talking about small business owner investing a significant amount of money in a property that was in a dilapidated condition. And what we promote is remediation of blight and to beautify the city. And I will state again, if we take a look at all the properties surrounding this new development, they're in bad shape. The gas station in bad shape. The hotel right across the street in bad shape. And I would try to use the term that Chair Corvette used earlier. Was it a turnover the pillow day?
A hot pillow hotel.
A hot pillow hotel. This is by far the best looking property in that area. Amen. I just have a hard time telling folks, come to the city, invest in your community, build up, build better, and we're telling these small business owners, nah, that's not the right one. We don't really like it, and we really don't have a justification for it. What we have to decide here, we either say, hey, you can't make this building better. You can't sell used cars here. If we tell them no, they're going to open up something no one wants. We do not want a repair shop here. This may not be the ideal use. Well, if I can be very frank and very honest, 1925 Union might not be the ideal use, but I'm pretty sure the majority of this body is going to support it. Why? Because it's the best use right now. When I was deciding what law firm I was going to work for immediately out of law school, I asked the lawyer one thing. I said, I have a really good offer here and I have a decent offer here. But they say they're not sure if they want me right now. What the lawyer told me, he said, $1 in a hand today is better than a promise of $1 tomorrow. What I'm trying to tell you is the best use at this point in time is what the proposal. If we vote it down, we're going to get something we don't like. No one wants a garage. No one wants a garage. So either we remand this back to control board and give them an opportunity to provide something that all of this body can agree to, or we vote yes. I'm not necessarily sure we should vote yes, but I'm certain we shouldn't be voting no. Give these small business owners an opportunity to bring us something before this body that we can all vote for. We don't tell people who are trying to come up by the bootstraps, trying to build themselves up, build their community up, invest in a community that hasn't been invested in, to go away because we don't like this use. We say, give us something better. Give us another opportunity. Give us more time. And for those folks here, due process. And Mr. Thompson, when you speak to this body, make sure we do it respectfully.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Smiley. And that is a great point. I think you make some very valid points, especially on that remand. Colleagues, this is also the first time we've been together in the public. all chairmen are pretty much different. This chairman will not tolerate outbursts. The first two cases when we're celebrating good people, that's okay. But when we're dealing with serious matters like this, no outbursts. I will have you removed. Fair enough? A lot of people got a lot of time invested. Let's show good and proper respect. Thank you very much. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A lot of good arguments. I'm definitely going to go back and record that entire thing because I feel like it may come back to haunt you at some point. I think when we talk about opining on highest and best use, we did that through the 3.0 process, and it speaks pretty clearly on what the highest and best use for this corridor is. As just a general comment, when I go as a developer, unless it's a large catalytic project, you usually don't get large turnouts. You usually do get people who are in opposition. Very rarely do you get like a good old pat on the back. So typically I like to go so I can hear the reasoning behind why they don't particularly like something. You often hear people say things like, well, it's too much traffic, or I just don't like the color. That blue looks terrible. Like for me, that doesn't really get it there. The arguments from those 20 neighbors that were there, including Faye Morrison, who, former Council Bill Morrison's mother, who leads their kind of town council, was pretty simplistic for me. Covington Pike resides in Raleigh. We have conceded that we will live with car lot highway all the way down Covington Pike. We are pleading with you to just leave it on Covington Pike and not let it bleed over into Austin P. And that seems like a very reasonable request because there's already one other lot on Austin P, and they feel like the council slighted them, a former body had slighted them, and they got through on a technicality. That seems like a very reasonable request. I'm okay with supporting a hold or remanding this back. I think that's probably the best place for it to go. And then this body can have further discussion about land use. But what I would ask is that we move forward, and I'll be moving to suspend the rules to bring item number 3 from Planning and Zoning Committee tonight for a vote with same night minutes. That would be resolution authorizing the Memphis Shelby County Division of Planning and Development to proceed with the submittal of an application for rezoning certain properties in or adjacent to CMU3 zoning districts in selected areas throughout the city of Memphis. I will make that motion. I'll make that motion after we move to remand this back. So I move to remand this back to Land Use Control Board.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. If you will hold that motion. Councilman Ford, do you wish to speak, or do you want us to go ahead and go to the motion? We're going to have a motion to remand.
I was elected.
There we go.
Everybody up here was elected. Upstairs today, I asked people to respect this council. I'm one of the oldest ones on here. I've been here, done that, and I'm back again. Okay, I want everybody to understand that. Okay? I know the ones, the sin stacks, right? Okay, they were the ones that Tri-State Defender. Okay, yeah, but I'm talking, do not interrupt, listen to me today. I want you to listen, not respond. You mentioned small business, this, that, and the other. If they own everything out there where you're talking about, they're not small business. Something's going on. You know, what we want to kind of do, and look, everybody's sitting there talking about, hey, he can open up a mechanic shop like out there. That ain't happening. He didn't spend too much money. The only thing that he could do was try to sell it to get somebody else to move and put something else worthwhile in there. That's not happening, so don't lie to us in here. We're educated people. You know, we're nobody's fool, okay? And like I said, you're talking about what he got here, he got here, he got that. Hey, I know more about the sin stacks than you know because you wasn't born during that time, and I knew the sin stacks, okay? I think you know the sin stacks. You know, we've been here. Some of the young ones, y'all would not know these people. If that was the case, Tri-State Defender wouldn't be where it is today. Gone. Hello? Place where they had it is gone. Okay, let's be for real. people do a lot of things and never do what they say they're going to do. I want to tell plan development, you know where I'm coming from, okay? We know how to stop whatever. You know, you all know how to put it out there and everything, yes, but this council is 13 of us. We are nobody's fool, okay? We try to help, but when things, and especially when people in the district, and you're talking about 20 people, that's quite a few people that came. You come out Raleigh. They didn't send out enough notices for everybody in Raleigh, okay? It was just in a certain area. It goes just that far, am I correct? Or did you send it to everybody in Raleigh? Yes or no?
Mail notice only goes to the 400-foot radius.
Hello, that's what I want to hear. So don't put Raleigh in there, okay? Yes, and Carlisle, would you repeat what you said you want done? Just want to repeat it. Yeah, I just want him to repeat it.
Councilman Ford, it's my intent to move to remand this back to Land Use Control Board so that they can review a potential new use. And with that, today we heard a presentation from Director John Zena of DPD of a comprehensive look at land use throughout the city of Memphis. It's my intent to ratify that resolution this evening.
Then I want y'all to respect the councilwoman of that particular district. Hey, if she's met and you met with all the ones out there, 20 people, a lot of people. Don't nobody go nowhere, okay? So if you got 20, that's just like having 100 to me, okay? So I'm through, but I just really had to say that. But like I said, I know these people. Please don't. I want everybody to understand one thing. Don't bring things to us like we idiots, okay? We are not that. You know, we've been done that way for quite a while. It's time out for that. We are very educated, okay? We want to help anybody that brings us something worthwhile. But if you live in an area and the area don't want it, you know what? That means you cannot be a good neighbor. And it's always be a good neighbor. Thank you. I'm through.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure we are all being forthright here and honest. The list, you gave me a list of properties that the young man, the owner, and you, that's not you, own, and they're not in Raleigh. They're in 3127. There are only two that's in 3128. First of all. Second of all, when I was talking about a corporate partner, and that was a general conversation in a meeting that we want all businesses to be corporate partner. So I want to make sure that what is being done is represented correctly. And thirdly, to Councilman Smiley's point, we do respect and honor entrepreneurship, and that's what we're looking for. We have always told him that we are wanting to support him, not just in that area. That area, there is a part of the overall plan, and there was a plan for that. When you have a plan, you have to work with all of the departments. You have to work with environmental court. You have to work with a number of entities. It's just not, and so that entire area is being addressed. Yes, it's dilapidated. We have been in environmental court over a year on the hotel. It's for prostitution and crime and other things, as well as that gas station. But you don't go and put oil on top, gasoline on top of fire. That was the point of not wanting another business there that would cause concern. And on Covington Pike, where all of the car lots are, and around the corner, we have had an increase in crime with car dealerships, with theft, with murders, concerning cars and car theft and car issues. So we didn't want that at that location. And I say we, I mean Raleigh, and that's what we're talking about in my district. And so this one meeting that we had was not just the first meeting. We've had several meetings over the years. And for those of you that don't live in Raleigh, you wouldn't know. But you have come and you've done a tour of this facility. You've done a tour with the applicant of this location. Yes, you're going to see what they want you to see. But unless you live there, unless you have gone to multiple town hall meetings about multiple planning meetings for the area, how could you come and say what the community needs? Unless you've met with the community on a regular, ongoing basis to address the needs and the concerns of the community, you would not know. And just like I wouldn't come to your area and say, no, this is what you all need over here because I think this is a pretty building. It's not about a pretty building. It's about good business. It's about what business is going to be done after you leave, after we leave. And so that's the concern that the residents, in the area are dealing with. We don't want another car dealership, auto sales on that strip because it's a part of an overall plan. And I would hope that you all would understand that it's not just that one business, that building. You're looking at a pretty building. Anyone can go and build a building. If someone came and built a strip club in your neighborhood, but because they didn't know they had to get a permit, would you say because the building is nice that you want that there? Just because it's a pretty building? No, that's not how this works. This is a community of hardworking people who want to make sure that their property values and the things that they want to see in the community is moving forward. And as that representative, that's what I am bringing to you. And we've shared a number of times over these last few months the desires and the concerns of the citizens. And so with that, I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that it wasn't just, pardon me? Your law office is right there. And but what meetings have you gone to with the community concerning what they want? And this is not about you, but I just wanted that said on the record, Chairman. And if we need to revisit this, as Carlisle said, that I think that is something that would benefit the community as well at this point. But we are still emphatically against auto sales at that location.
The upside to remand is that they come back with the same car thing, they fail. They have to come back with something different to have any chance of success. So you will achieve your objective with the remand back to Land Use Control Board. Thank you very much. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to remand this case back to Land Use Control Board.
Moved by Carlisle, seconded by Smiley. Any members of the queue seeking recognition? Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, thank you. Again, I was hoping for to understand the purpose of the remand, specifically what's going to change on the application, because it sounded like the lesser use of bike sales or kayak rentals or canoe rentals is already allowed by use. So what is actually being
Mr. Whitehead,
reconsidered?
The question is once it's remanded, and let's say it's remanded and they come back with a bike sales, are bike sales permitted by right currently?
Bicycle, like a non-motorized bicycle, are permitted. Motorcycle we treat as cars, and so they would.
Doc, are we talking about motorcycles? Or are we talking about bicycles?
We're talking about mountain bikes, rental bicycles that would be used on the Wolf River Trail.
All right.
That's a permitted use. So if that was the intent of the owner, the application could be withdrawn at that point, and he would be able to proceed.
All right.
By right. Okay. And the question went directly to my vote because I'd be inclined to vote the motion down and then go ahead and vote this down and support Councilman Logan this evening. So that's why I was asking the question as to what purpose. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand because I have a motion to remand it, proper second. But what I was just informed, though, that if you wish to have bicycle sales in there, you can do it tomorrow by right. Is that a correct statement? Therefore, would you like to withdraw your case?
Because you can open this bicycle idea up tomorrow. You don't need plans, don't need a permit. Well, he would need permits, yes, but you don't have to go to Land Use Control Board. Forgive me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know you have other items on the agenda. If I can ask for leave to amend, I do need to contact, we were assuming that they would definitely continue. We know it'll be 2 weeks or 4 weeks, but I do need to contact them and ask that request before I actually make that determination. Because I'm looking at a number of considerations. It'll probably take me all of 3 minutes.
All right, then, because we've got a lot of long cases in front of us.
I can wait.
Go ahead and make your phone call. We'll move on to the next item. All right. I just got overruled, I think. All right, I have a motion on the floor, and there's an objection to my putting this thing on hold for just a second. I have a motion by Carlisle, seconded by Smiley, to remand this to the Land Use Control Board. I see no other members in the queue wishing to speak. This is special item 1. Please vote.
Canali, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, abstained. Warren, yes.
voted yes.
Chairman Cosette, yes.
I voted yes.
You voted yes?
Please change your vote. Okay, you are remanded to the Land Use Control Board. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of this.
That was interesting. All right, Madam Comptroller.
Mr. Chair, may I be recognized?
Please.
Mr. Chair, I move without objection to suspend the rules and introduce a resolution authorizing the Memphis and Shelby County Division of Planning and Development to proceed with the submittal of an application for rezoning certain properties in or adjacent to CMU 3 zoning districts in selected areas throughout the city of Memphis.
All right. Do I have an objection to suspending the rules? Okay, therefore we got, do I have a second to suspend the rules? All right, been moved by Carlisle, seconded by Warren, or seconded by Cheyenne. Logan, cool. All right, so we're in a motion to suspend the rules. Councilor Wade, is there any discussion when we have a motion to suspend rules? Or do we just go straight to a vote? We're having a debate on, okay, is there anyone in the queue wishing to speak to the suspension of the rules? Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you know, one of the issues is we're trying to keep a garage or any other sort of structure from being built there. And one of the things that we have with the current land use ordinance that we're moving to suspend, it will immediately stop the ability for a garage to be put in that building if we go ahead and pass the ordinances. So it makes sense for us to be able to do that now. And then we'll get a different use coming back for how we want that building to go. So I think we should suspend the rules and move forward with the zoning that we're trying to keep service stations and other type businesses out of these sort of major development zones that we're trying to promote.
All right, thank you very much. Council Lady Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. My concern is the general public is not being given ample opportunity to review these recommendations. So often we come in and we have decisions or a recommendation given to us on a Thursday, and we expect to make a decision on a Tuesday. And by that time, it's just not ample time for the general public. And this is another case where you are taking that opportunity away from the general public. They should be allowed to see what took place. If they have any differences, I know we're gonna have ample readings, but they stated a time frame. Let the process work. Don't be using the process to prevent something else from occurring. Let's be fair with the process. Thank you, Chair.
I just want to correct the record here. This is a resolution asking land use control, asking the Department of Development, Division of Planning and Development, asking the Division of Planning and Development to do exactly that. So we can't even engage the public until we allow them to begin the work. This is asking them to file an application with the Land Use Control Board to mail notice to begin that process. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand. But again, we're pushing a process ahead for a purpose. I do not believe it's in the best interest of everyone. It's in the interest of trying to delay another possibility of a cause of action to take place. The process is that they came in, they said they needed additional time to work it. Let them do it. Give the public the ample time to review the process. I don't understand what's the rush. Why is the rush all of a sudden? What caused the rush to occur? Thank you, Chair.
All right. Seeing no other members in the queue, this is special item 2. This a yes vote is to suspend the rules for the purpose of discussing Councilman Carlisle's motion. A no vote is to not suspend the rules and go back to our agenda. That being the case, cast your votes. Has everybody voted? Please reveal.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, no. Jones, no. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, no. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
That item passes. The rules have been suspended. Please make your motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we hear item, or I guess it's special item number 3, resolution authorizing the Memphis and Shelby County Division of Planning and Development to proceed with the submittal of an application for rezoning certain properties in or adjacent to CMU3 zoning districts in selected areas throughout the city of Memphis, all council districts, sponsored by Councilwoman Logan.
Electronically. Been moved by Carlisle, seconded by Councilman Warren. I see no members in the queue. Assume you're ready to vote on special item number 3. Madam Comptroller, please prepare the screens. He sent it to Land Use Control Board to look at CMU3. Basically, they're going to report back to us with action. Please share the votes.
Canale, yes. Carlisle, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Johnson, no. Jones, no. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, no. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
That item passes. Let's roll. All right, we go back to our regular agenda. Madam Comptroller, call item 11. Yes, we're going to have that. We're going to call the case, and then I'm going to have Administrator Whitehead give his presentations.
Change the item 28 instead of special item 3. Thank you.
Can you give me item 11, please?
Sure. Item number 11 is an ordinance approving a new historic overlay district located in the area roughly bound by Autumn Avenue to the north, North Claybrook Street to the east, Poplar Avenue to the south, and Interstate 240 to the west, containing approximately 81.30 acres in the historic overlay district. Up for third and final reading, this ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. It was held from July 6th. The case number is CTHD. The ordinance number is 5783.
Thank you very much. Councilman Canale, can you go and get this moved so we can get it on the floor?
Yes, Chairman, but we're going to, I recommend that we hear from, okay.
All right, it's been moved by Councilman Canale, seconded by Councilman Smiley. Councilman Canale, you're again recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we discuss this item, I would request that we hear a presentation from Administrator Whitehead.
And ladies, y'all can have a seat. This is going to take a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Josh Whitehead with the Division of Planning and Development. Ms. Hayes, if you go to item 12A in the queue, that should give you the correct PowerPoint. Mr. Chairman, I had prepared this PowerPoint to be presented to this body after these two districts had already been created, maybe sometime in August or September, but here we are, Landmarks 101, and I'll do this pretty quickly. I have included in this PowerPoint some additional questions that I heard during the P&Z committee this afternoon, but the purpose of this PowerPoint is to answer questions you had about landmarks, but were too afraid to ask. So there are 18 districts in the city. That includes, again, this was prepared in anticipation to be presented in the future. That 18 includes items 11 and 12 that are on your docket this afternoon. Okay, well, what does that mean? Under the Tennessee Code Annotated, unlike our Land Use Control Board and Board of Adjustment, our Landmarks Commission operates under the TCA. If you remember my zoning 101 several years ago, our Land Use Control Board and our Board of Adjustment operate under a series of private acts specific to us, acts specially passed by the General Assembly just for us. That is not true for the Landmarks Commission. We operate under an act passed for all municipalities in the state. So we go to the TCA, which is unusual in our enabling legislation discussions. We go to the Tennessee Code Annotated, and it says anything that requires a building permit in a landmarks district has to be reviewed by the Landmarks Commission. That section of the TCA also says any additional work can also be reviewed by the Landmarks Commission. Any work that does not require a permit. Okay, two common examples. And I realized just a moment ago, Ms. Hayes has the advanced slide button, but I have the Zoom button. Go up one just real quick. Up another one. Backwards, I should say. It takes a village, Mr. Chairman. One more backwards. One more backwards. Okay, there we go. So two common examples here of work that does not require a permit, but nevertheless requires landmarks review are painting brick and window and door placement. Now, Ms. Hayes, up a slide. Well, how do we know if a particular thing that doesn't require a building permit requires landmarks review? Well, you go to the individual district guidelines. The Landmarks Commission regulations, rules, are not found in the UDC. They're not found in the zoning code, which is a little unique in our land use world here in Memphis. They are governed by individual design guidelines. That's not unusual. Some of our suburban jurisdictions have design review commissions. Those design review commissions that look at commercial structures, they are also governed by design guidelines. Similarly, the design review board across the street with the Center City Commission, they don't codify many of their design regulations because it's all about aesthetics. It's hard to codify aesthetics. It's much easier to put them in guidelines that are, relatively speaking, easily amended. So each of our 18 districts have separate guidelines. Some of the smaller districts like Cotton Row and Peabody, Gayoso, here in downtown, actually have mirrored design guidelines, and that makes it a little easier to administer. Next slide, Ms. Hayes. So 2 years, this year and 2018 have been pretty significant with the Landmarks Commission because we had pretty significant increases to the jurisdiction of the Landmarks Commission. In other words, new districts were created in those 2 years. I'm using the past tense, but obviously 2021, those two districts have not yet been created. In 2018, two districts, Cooper Young and Speedway Terrace, were created. During the time of those filings, those communities looked to us, DPD, and said, okay, we've heard from the grapevine that there's something weird, like a 72% petition. That's cute, but can you point us to where that is? And so I looked to find where that was. And it was written nowhere. It was never codified in any respect by this dais. It was, however, a verbal request by a former council member. That, my friends, is not a rule. That is not a regulation. That is not a nothing. So we reported back to Cooper Young and Speedway Terrace. We said there's no requirement to pass around a petition, and the Landmarks Commission memorialized that in its bylaws, and it specifically said there is no 50 plus 1%, there's no 72% requirement to pass along a petition. The issue there, at least in Cooper Young, as I recall, was so many property owners are agnostic to the question and are non-responsive. I mean, we look at the percentage of our voters who vote, right, who go to the polls and vote. It's deplorably low. Well, that was the issue with the creation of Cooper Young and Speedway Terrace. The numbers were so low, you could never get to 72%. So then the question was, well, could it be 72% of the respondents? And we just said, wipe it all away. So that brings us, Ms. Hayes, to the next slide. Since 2018, 2 more districts are about to be created on the docket this afternoon, Crosstown and Vecca. The 2018 increase in properties rose our jurisdiction, the Landmarks Commission jurisdiction, up 31% from where it had been. This would be another 43% increase. We have a way to ameliorate the challenge of processing the increase in workload with such a limited staff. Number one, we went to this body several months ago requesting a fee increase. The way our division operates is we try to displace most of our work through an enterprise fund. The enterprise itself is funded by application fees, right? So if you don't live in a landmarks district, you somewhat subsidize those who live in them, but not by much. Same difference with a zoning case. Roughly speaking, 85% of our budget is supported by our fees. So the non-zoning applicant does, in a very minimal way, subsidize the zoning applicant, but that is because we have a zoning code. And a lot of the administration of a zoning code and a historic district is just a function of city government. Next slide. So we have increased our staff, or we're about to post the additional position. That'll give us 2.5 positions. I say 1/2, and while we're here, we might as well introduce the two. The 1/2 and the one existing one. The 1/2 is Mr. Brett Ragsdale. He's our administrator, and I'm classifying him as a 1/2 because he's also 1/2 of, half of his work is helping us with our Land Use Control Board and Board of Adjustment cases. Our full one is Ms. Aisha Tizell, who is our Historic Preservation Planner, who will soon be joined by a second Historic Preservation Planner. But as you see, maybe I should zoom in a little. As you see, those numbers, 2.5 with 11,000 parcels, doesn't really get us in line with our sister cities in Tennessee. We have 11,000 parcels with 2.5 people, or we will have 2.5 people. Chattanooga, 1,500 with 2 staff members. Knoxville, 1,700 with 1. Nashville, 9,200 with 7 staff members. And then obviously New York is, they have really high taxes, so they can pay for 80 staff members with 37,000 parcels. Next slide. That's amelioration tool number 1. I will get to number 2 in a second. So here's our FAQs. This often comes up. Why don't we find people? Why are we not finding people more? Why are we not driving home the point that you cannot do work in a landmarks district without a permit? Well, hey, you shouldn't do that ever, but also not getting Landmarks Commission review. We do not find. The Environmental Court finds. And the Environmental Court, ever since it was created, has been very reluctant to fine people for zoning violations. The court historically, and we historically, have tried to work with the applicant to ameliorate the situation. Oftentimes, that's called retroactive approval. You painted your brick. It can't be unpainted, and we have to go through a whole application process through the Landmarks Commission, not to unpaint the brick, which is impossible, but to at least bless it in such a way that gets it out of environmental court. Not a perfect process, but again, it's where we are. Here's the second FAQ. Can a development approved by this body or the Board of Adjustment or Land Use Control Board then be rejected by the Landmarks Commission? Well, rejection's a strong word. What it can do, what the Landmarks Commission can do, is reject the appearance, the aesthetics, the facade treatments. Mr. Jones earlier, Councilman Jones was talking about brick facade versus wooden facade. That's something that often could potentially be a case. A planned development that plan development that is silent on a building's facade, then goes to the Landmarks Commission. The Landmarks Commission says all the buildings on this block are brick. You have presented us hardy board. You're rejected. The Landmarks Commission isn't really rejecting the project. It is rejecting the treatment on the project. And here's
I'm sorry, Mr. Whitehead, real quick, and I'm so sorry to interrupt because you're on a roll. But if, let's say, take your brick, they propose hardy plank, the council approves it, it goes to Landmarks. Landmarks says, nope, you got to have brick. We reject it. What recourse does the applicant have? Can they come back to council, or is that just the final? Does this independent body have final, I guess, authority, for lack of better words?
Well, my next FAQ answers one of the two choices that that individual would have.
Okay.
He can either go through the process to unzone, to remove his property from a landmarks district. We have a legal opinion that says as long as that action does not defeat the overall purpose of the district itself, it may be done. So it would come back to you as a removal of that parcel from the Landmarks Commission jurisdiction, which essentially nullifies that rejection. The other way, of course, would be that individual could appeal the Landmarks Commission decision to Chancery Court, just as a rejection by this body goes to Chancery Court or Board of Adjustment, et cetera. Final FAQ, at least on this page, is the painting of brick prohibited? We've talked a lot about that. Yes, in many districts, yes, but not in all. Next slide, Ms. Hayes. And again, those are governed by the individual guidelines. So last couple slides. This question came up during planning and zoning this afternoon. What's the difference between Historic District A and Historic District B? That is often a source of great confusion. There are two kinds of historic districts. The National Register, which is recommended and approved at the state level by the SHPO, State Historic Preservation Officer. And those are districts or individual properties sometimes that are architecturally or historically important. Okay, what happens if I'm in that kind of district? Not a whole lot. You can pretty much do anything to your building in a National Register district so long as you're not using federal funds to do it. A national district does not limit you from demolishing your building, rebuilding it in an inappropriate, quote unquote, manner, et cetera. Okay, next slide. So that's where the local districts come in. Local districts, maybe paradoxically, have more control than national districts. The local districts are zoning districts. And again, any demolition, any modification, major modification, or even some minor modifications require landmarks review. Next slide. So how do those two relate with each other? This is from the TCA 137404. There are 5 things that can make a neighborhood eligible to be placed into a landmarks district, also known as a historic overlay district. One of those is being in a national registered district. So that's oftentimes the easiest way to justify your request for a landmarks district. But you can see that is certainly not the only one. The other 4 are pretty broad that kind of cover just about anything. If the neighborhood is associated with an important event, an important person, important characteristic architecture, et cetera. So oftentimes your national registered district is the same as your local district. Sometimes you have one and not the other, and vice versa. Next slide. And I think we're almost complete here. How does staff? So here's a big question. We have something called a minor certificate of appropriateness. That's the permit that the Landmarks Commission issues. Certificate of appropriateness. It is when you are changing a contributing building. What is a contributing building? If you have, for instance, Central Gardens that identifies its significance, its period of significance as 1890 to 1930, and you own a 1970s townhouse, you can pretty much do anything to that 1970s townhouse, and we don't care, especially if you're tearing it down. We really don't care about that. We want you to do that because it's not a contributing structure. We are only looking at contributing structures, and that generally is governed by, does it contribute to the purpose the district was created? And almost in all instances, the district was created for some architectural cohesive reason. So when you are amending a contributing structure, if it's minor enough, it can be approved on a fast track. And I've listed those eligible for fast track items. This is the way we are trying to ameliorate our low staff to high parcel number, because it does everyone a disservice in these districts if we can't process these in an important fashion. And what I found is oftentimes historic districts are very, they are comrades with another, they support one another, and the last thing we want to do is create such a situation where we have so many districts, then everybody within an existing and then the new district service level deteriorates because we just have too many. So we've hired one new person, and we've created this minor versus major process to also streamline some of the process so we don't have a backlog of cases that have not been addressed. So what are eligible for minor? Those are the things that staff can review. Minors include demolition of non-contributing building, that 1970s townhouse I was telling you about, court-ordered demolitions, 2, new accessory buildings and rear additions if 25% or less of that front facade can be seen from the street, roof dormers, rear guard fencing, etc. Once a case, okay, that's not it though. Once a case has been filed with us as a minor, we then notify the neighborhood association, and then we notify the landmark commissioners. There's 9 landmark commissioners. If more than 3 landmarks commissioners object to a particular project being processed as a minor, we kick it up to a major, and it gets heard on the monthly docket of the landmarks commission. So there is an out. Sometimes, we interpret one thing one way, and the landmarks commissioners interpret another way. There's an out for that. The commission itself can kick it up to a major and have a full public hearing. Ms. Hayes, I believe I have one more slide. Notification process for a new district. First of all, I put it on Nextdoor. Many people are not on Nextdoor, but 130,000 Memphis households are. So we find that that's very effective in getting the word out, but also we will mail notices that are prepared by the applicant for a historic district, and those mailed notices will be mailed to all property owners within the proposed district for 3 hearings. This one, obviously, but also the 2 preliminary hearings, the Landmarks Commission and the Land Control Board. Ms. Hayes, is that all I've got? Okay. That's it, Mr. Chairman. I'm available for any more FAQs.
All right, thank you. Are a wealth of knowledge, sir. Councilman Canale, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Administrator. That was very well done. You put that together in 10 minutes? Colleagues, I want to reiterate, I am completely agnostic on both of these issues. If this is what the neighborhood wants, then I certainly support it. The only reason I was trying to slow this down is because I wanted to make sure that this is what the neighborhood wants. And I think it's worth noting that Mr. Whitehead said there is no petition required. However, remember, colleagues, within your districts, if you request speed humps, you do have to have a petition with 70% of the signatures on the street to obtain those speed humps. So I understand, Becca, I understand Crosstown's desire to maintain the historical integrity of their neighborhoods, and I completely respect that. And I would do everything in my power to honor that if that is what everyone, or at least a majority of the neighborhood wants. I just think, especially with Becca, it's a little bit of a, it's more cumbersome with 3,351 households talking about thousands and thousands of people. So with that, thank you, Mr. Administrator. Very well done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much, Councilman Canale. Before I go to Councilman Morgan and Jones, should we go, does anybody wish a presentation on item 11? We've got a update on how this works. Do I have a wish for presentation?
Mr. Chairman, I just need the floor for a few seconds to talk about the amendment. I don't think it was ever captured by this body.
Please formally introduce it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you recall, at second reading, which I believe was 4 to 6 weeks ago, we addressed an issue with what is the property commonly known as Crosstown Mound. I have a hard copy version of the revision. I believe most of you have seen it, but what it does is, this is the ordinance before you. We have amended Section 3 to carve out the crosstown mound and to place a new effective date for it. That effective date is July 1st, 2026. And what we've done is we've listed out the current parcel ID numbers in the crosstown mound and amended the map of the district. So until July 1st, 2026, roughly 5 years from now, any project within that, on that, I guess, crosstown mound would not be subject to Landmarks Commission review. This was a negotiation hammered out in part by this body, but primarily between HCD and the applicants for this district. And I believe all parties are in agreement with this compromise.
As amended, Councilman Morgan, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My comments kind of go to this item and number 12, just in general, talking about historic districts. And I agree with Councilman Canale where it's, rather agnostic about it. I believe people have a right to self-governance and determination. And if they want to impose these rules upon themselves and their neighborhood and they think it's in the best preservation or the best, option for the community going forward, then I'm in favor of supporting that. I do think we probably need to figure out a way to raise the barrier a little bit for entry. It's not right that it's more difficult to get speed humps than it is to get a historic district. I'm very hesitant, and I don't like to change rules on top of somebody that's purchased property under one set of rules, and then we come in and change the rules on top of them of what they're allowed to do at their own house, on their own property. When we change, we give a lot of deference to communities in zoning cases where it's not even their property that's being changed, it's the nearby property. So that's one of my concerns. The other is that these historic districts are done in perpetuity, that they go on forever without any opportunity for review down the road that's built into the ordinance. And so I'm going to offer amendment on each of them that I think is going to be important for my support going forward. And I think it's important for the community going forward as well. And my amendment on this ordinance, and Mr. Whitehead, tell me if I'm in bounds in offering this, is that there would be a 20-year sunset provision and that it would automatically come up for renewal in 20 years. There would not have to be another application by the community. They wouldn't have to go through the process again. But in 20 years, it will come in front of, I suppose, this body again, and we can reevaluate if there have been any unintended consequences of making this an historic district. Did it attract more people to the neighborhood? Did it deter people from making repairs? Or did it encourage exactly what the community is trying to target? And I think that would be a fair timeline. If 20 years is something that I've kind of looked around and checked on. If people have other recommendations, I'd be open to listening to that. Is that an allowable motion into this ordinance?
Well, this is just like a zoning district, right? I want to rezone from zoning district X to zoning district Y. And typically that's a legislative act by this body, and it runs in perpetuity. I think what I would prefer is a provision that says in 20 years, the Division of Planning and Development shall conduct a study determining, measuring the metrics that you just mentioned and reporting that to the council. Because the council can initiate, just as we did with the CMU, the council can initiate rezoning.
Sure, and any neighbor can apply throughout the process to be admitted out.
I think that would be the better way. Instruct us to do something at a certain date and then report to the council, and then the council can take that information and do what it wants.
Okay, do I need a motion to do that, or? Sure, I'll move without objection that in 20 years of agenda item number 11 passing, at that point, I think it'll be the planning department still or their equivalent will make a recommendation to the council in regards to the effects of the historic district.
Second.
Object.
Okay.
I have two objections. So I have a motion and a second on the table. Who wishes to speak? Get in the queue if you wish to speak on the amendment. Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate the effort of compromise for this, but if we're not imposing this on all districts, I don't think we should impose it on one. If we start from this day on to say that we're going to have this review process for the ones that we currently have on the books, I'm okay with it. But to impose this just on one, I think it's an unfair precedent that we'd be setting with this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Council Lady Easter Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to say the same thing as my colleague Jones. I think the director said we had 16 districts already. So if this is put in place, then I think we should backdate and then start with those going to the date that they were voted in, if we're doing it to make things fair.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Morgan, you're recognized.
I completely agree. I want to see if it was the will of the body to do this in the first place, and if it is, I think it is fair for this to be a part of the evaluation process for all historic districts, and we'll try to queue it up so it's not all at once, all at the same time. We can spread it out over the terms and decades.
Right, and I think the best way to do that is maybe leave this ordinance alone, and then this body could at any time pass a resolution directing the division to conduct that study for all 18 districts.
Perfect. I'll withdraw my motion.
Amendment is withdrawn. So, okay, second is withdrawn. We're back to the original motion. Council Wade, do you have something you wish to share? You might want to bring your mic up.
That this body could, by first vote, direct the administrator and I to prepare a resolution to that effect and bring it back to you for adoption. But to do it verbally on the floor tonight, I don't think is appropriate.
I agree. I was going to do it with an email rather than a voice vote.
All right.
Be checking the inbox.
Just make sure it gets in the minute.
Okay, so Alan, Josh, you've got some homework to do. Cool. All right. Amendment's withdrawn. Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only question I have, Ms. Whitehead, I know that there's a 3,300 number parcel. I wanted an idea of how that relates to some of the other districts, whether that's twice as large, and what are the drawbacks or concerns of one so large?
Well, we are on item number 11, but I will answer your question. I think your question is more related to number 12. The VECA district is much larger. For Crosstown, we have 188 parcels in the district. That's probably on the low side. And the largest district right now is Central Gardens with 1,700. Cooper Young has 1,600. Evergreen has 1,700. Glenview has 1,000. So the average is probably around 800 to 900. So this would be one of our smaller districts. So the benefits of if there are any pros and cons to a smaller versus a larger district, a smaller district typically has more cohesive architecture. And it's easier for the Landmarks Commission to determine whether a building is compatible with its surroundings. But that may not be a good thing for the home builder who wants to have a wider berth. So your larger district is going to probably have a more eclectic architectural styles. We'd still want to look at the block, but certainly the guidelines are going to be written with a much greater number of parcels in mind. So the guidelines are going to be, just by nature, much more vague than, say, in a small district like Crosstown.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That clears the queues. Ladies, are y'all Jennifer Amito and Anna Joy Tamayo? Okay, can I go ahead and get your names and addresses each for the record, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Do it again.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Amito, 290 Stonewall.
Ma'am?
Anna Joy Tamayo, 294 North Montgomery Street.
Very good. Colleagues, I have no one else in the queue. Okay. Ladies, would you like to share?
Sure. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the Landmarks Commission and
I guess to meet all of you guys, especially you. I say, am I saying it correctly? Yeah, y'all have been super helpful through this whole process, and so thank you, guys. Thank you, Josh, and really appreciate it. And thank you guys for letting us come today and speak before you. I really just have a short slideshow, but it's been kind of heavy talk and communication so far, so I just want to open the floor, and maybe if you guys have any questions for us, we'd love to chat. We've gone through a long process over the duration of a year dealing with communication with HCD and back and forth with landmarks, and so we're just here to answer y'all's questions.
Well, it seems like y'all have done a great job, and I think everybody's kind of getting ready. Carlisle.
Yeah, just a brief comment. I appreciate the work with HCD. That's important. I think through that process, part of what you learned is that the historic districts have their pros and they have their ability, but they can be cumbersome to certain developments that are low income or moderate income and in that nature. And so I appreciate your willingness to work with them to work that out. Compromise is a good thing. So thanks and best of luck. I'll support it.
Anything to get LRK's cell phone number in my pocket.
Yeah, they're expensive. You better be careful of calling them.
All right, colleagues, thank y'all so much. Thank you for your hard work. I see no members in the queue. It was moved by Canale, seconded by Smiley. I assume you're ready to vote on item 11 as amended. Please prepare our screens. Cast your votes. Oh, it was when Josh Whitehead added. Re-added the language.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, abstained. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Warrington, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colbeck, yes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. That passes. All right. Madam Comptroller, call item 12, please.
Item number 12 is an ordinance approving a new historic overlay district located in the area roughly bound by Cypress Creek to the north, University and Springdale Streets to the east, North Parkway and Jackson Avenue to the south, and Watkins Street to the west, containing approximately 880 acres in the historic overlay district, up for third and final reading. This ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is VEHD, ordinance number 5789.
Thank you very much, Councilman Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, received a presentation, and gave this item no recommendation. With that, it's already been moved.
It's already been moved by Easter
Thank
Thomas,
you, sir.
Seconded by Councilman Warren. Does any member wish a presentation real quick? Seeing none, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 roughly cards. Why don't we do this? We'll have a 15-minute clock, and I'm going to call you up. Please be cognizant of your time. But if you'd like to come up and share your thoughts, just as a suggestion also, if the same thoughts have already been shared, you can just say thank you for your service and what they said earlier, okay? Stephanie Walker, you're first. Why don't you come on up? Karen Edwards, you're going to come up after her. And let's start with your name and address, please.
Stephanie Walker, 786 North McNeil Street. And I'd like to, for certain, tell you my approval for this historic zone. I'm glad that Mr. Whitehead was able to explain for some time. We've been there since 1968 with my parents. And we kind of thought we were historic, but there's kind of confusion in the names of historic and overlay and all. So we're very much in support of this, neighbors and all. And I do appreciate each one of you and your considerations.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Karen Edwards, are you with us? There you are. May I have your name and address? We'll start the time. And Susie Askew, you're next.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon. I'm Karen Edwards, and I live at 1887 South Rainbow Drive, 38107. Thank you, Memphis City Council and Council Chair. I'm here to share with you some of the outreach and the engagement that's been done by VECA over the last 5+ years. So I'm just it's like a timeline to share with you. Since 2017 to present day, VECA has and continues to publish landmarks information to their website, social media, and VECA publications. Communication has been posted to digital newsletters since 2018. The website publishes the guidelines for comment, weekly communication, and links. We've had lots of engagement. Then beginning in 2017, Landmarks formally began with articles and fact sheets being published and distributed at VECA events like the annual meeting, the art walk, the VECA street fair that happened in June of that year. And in 2018, we worked together to come up with a myths and facts flyer that was published to our website and VECA's publications, and to help grow social media about local landmarks and to dispel any myths. So from 2017 to 2020, it's been a topic of conversation at VECA's annual meeting. The yearly meeting is always well attended with an average attendance of 75 to 125 people. And in 2018, Cooper Young, Glenview, and Speedway Terrace historic districts, they were already historic districts, came and spoke to local landmarks at our annual meeting. And at the 2020 meeting, landmarks guidelines information was discussed and handouts were provided. This would be the last in-person meeting that we had due to the pandemic. And just some other things to let you know about during 2018 and 19, that's when we really were focused on landmarks. We also handed out flyers at the VECA D&E Art Walk. Many of you all may have attended that, and our National Night Out event. We usually have an event at the Welcome Center on Jackson Avenue. In 2019, VECA held 8 in-person meetings for the neighborhoods, representing all the different quadrants that we had at the time. We now have a new one, which many of you all may be aware of. They were all held at churches. So we had one in February and March, and then we had 4, there were 4 in all the different quadrants in February and March, and then 4 at the Welcome Center in April and May. Landmarking VECA survey was also created to determine, like as a result of those meetings, like how did they hear about the meeting, and to gauge whether or not they were for or against landmarking for VECA. And then those attendees were asked to complete a survey, and we resoundingly had approval for local landmarks. And in May of 2019, we engaged Mr. Whitehead, Josh Whitehead, with the Memphis Shelby County Division of Planning and Development. In October 2019, VECA was awarded the Historical Commission grant that funded the design guidelines that had to be completed by 2020. And then VECA was required to provide by the ordinance to hold 4 public meetings. In 2020, only 1 was required by the neighborhood, but we actually had 3 public meetings between landmarks. We had one, so we had the landmarks, land use, and Memphis City Council. VECA exceeded that meeting request by 3. So those meetings, the first meeting was held on May 7th, August 6th, and August 20th.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
We have 6 speakers behind you and only about 10 minutes left, if you don't mind.
Let me go ahead and just come down here. So I think we can see here we started some time ago with all this, that our efforts and outreach engagement has been done to touch all VECA households. It's telling. And we believe that Ordinance 5789 would be good for VECA's future. So thank you so much for your time. I yield.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Edwards. Ms. Askew, and after Ms. Askew, Natasha Strong. May I have your name and address, please?
Susie Askew, 1875 Jackson Avenue. I moved to VECA from downtown in 2007. When I retired from the Dixon Gallery and Garden in 2018, I joined, I became a part of the historic committee, and after that, I got on the board, of course. So I'm sort of wanting to talk to you about the board action. Each time we changed presidents, we went back to our board and said, do you still approve this? Because we have representation from each quadrant, and they did. So we felt like we we're keeping our board abreast. We have probably met twice, 3 or 4 times a month in the last 4 years. We are diligent. We are very concerned about getting everyone involved and also representing what the historic district benefits would be for our neighborhood. I want to challenge the idea that we have metrics for this 20-year review. I think that's an excellent idea. One of the things we found out from the letters that were required that we send out to every household is that a lot of our people do not live in our neighborhood that own houses. And that's a really good metric for all of us to consider. Ownership is how many of our letters go to homeowners and how many go to out of state and in our case out of country home ownership. So the metrics will be really critical in determining that. I thank you for your consideration and I encourage you to encourage us by voting for this.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Askew. Natasha Strong, followed by Austin Rowe. Name and address, please.
My name is Natasha Strong, and I live at 839 Stonewall Street.
Could you take your mask down, please? Are you comfortable taking your mask down? Okay, just try to speak up a little bit then, please.
Thank you. More than a trendy neighborhood, Vecca is a great place to live, raise a family, and retire. Vecca is its residents, its buildings, and its natural and public spaces. We are a civic-minded community, as you heard the previous speaker say. Vecca was formally established as an organization in the 1970s, at the time, to help discourage and eliminate redlining and blockbusting that was happening by private realtors. In 1996, as part of the Neighborhood Preservation Initiative grant, Vecca underwent a comprehensive rezoning review of zoning. A new zoning plan that was approved and adopted by the City Council in 1997. We are before you again today, asking you to approve our rezoning as a historic overlay district in 2021. In 1997 through 2007, thanks to the many diligent residents and volunteers working through Vecca, most of the neighborhood was successfully designated on the National Register of Historic Places. In 2021, I would like to finish up speaking on what Ms. Edwards was saying. Because when we talk about neighborhood representation, we met and exceeded the requirements. Vecca was supposed to only hold one public meeting in 2020. We were in the middle of a pandemic. We held 3 additional meetings, public meetings on landmarks. Starting in December 2020, before Memphis Landmarks Commission, over 3,689 mailings to property owners in the neighborhood. For their first meeting in landmarks, from those property mailings, 84 letters of support and 4 letters of opposition. Landmarks meeting, January 28th, 2021, 194 letters of support and 14 letters of opposition. For Land Use Control Board, March 11th, 2021, again, 3,689 notices were mailed to property owners. 10 signs are posted in the gateways still to this day as a requirement of the UDC. 29 letters of support and 2 letters of opposition. Again, August 29th, 2021, extra 35 public notices, 18 public notices, and 2 letters of support and 1 letter of opposition. Again, May 13th, Land Use Control Board, 47 letters of support and 2 letters of opposition. After the July 6th, 2021, second reading before Memphis City Council was approved, a total of 3,742 notices were mailed to property owners and a total of 10 public meeting signs are still posted at the 10 gateways throughout the neighborhood, as they have been since December of last year.
Ms. Strong, there are 4 folks behind you.
I yield my time.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rough on it, but just trying to be fair. Okay, Austin Rowe, followed by Ms. Rosenthal. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Austin Rowe, 910 Hawthorne Street. I've been a realtor in the Midtown and Memphis market for 4.5 years now, and 85% of my business is conducted in the Midtown region. Great thing about Bonds and Evergreen that's unique about it as a Midtown neighborhood is that it's an attainable neighborhood to a first-time home buyer as far as the price point is concerned. The millennials, which make up the largest portion of first-time home buyers, 44% of millennials want to live in a historical district. 59% of all millennial buyers purchase a home that's built prior to 1912, and 43% of them purchase a house built before 1960. Generation Z is going to become the #1 home buying market, and their #1 concern is being close to work. So with the downtown and the 3.0 plan coming up and everything building up downtown, more jobs, that is going to become more and more important. Bonds and Evergreen sticks with the Memphis 3.0 plan with sustaining historical districts. Just a quick statistic, in Boston, 36% of the city's residential growth was in established historical districts. Another thing, lastly, nationwide, lower income residents in historical districts makes up 36.1%. Middle income is 27.3%, and upper income is 36.6% of households, accordingly, are in historical districts nationwide. I yield my time.
All right. Thank you much, Mr. Rowe. Ms. Rosenthal, followed by Belinda Campbell. May I have your name and address,
I'm
please?
Renata Rosenthal. I live at 2107 Holmes Drive. I've been in the same house since 1975. I love it, and I wholeheartedly support the landmarks overlay, and I yield the rest of my time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rosenthal. Belinda Campbell, followed by Mary Wilder.
Thank you, Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Belinda Campbell at 1766 Greenview Circle, the Evergreen Gardens area. And I'm here as a new BECA board member and a new committee member for the Historical District, and here to ask your support and in celebration of what all is occurring here. Based on our research, our Evergreen Gardens is the newest area that has been added to BECA here just within the recent months. And with that, we have 3 generations to 5 generations that are still represented on the street. My father was a pioneer of Memphis in asphalt and concrete as an entrepreneur, and the support that was given to him to be able to thrive and scale his business by Dr. Benjamin Cooks. I look to that we ask the connection, and 2 things. We are an area that gets our ASK, our ask in gear. We were asking just recently to be a part of BECA, even though we've been there for like 67 years, and we have been embraced by BECA. With that, we have, within these 3 to 5 generations, a representation of Lieutenant Luke Weathers, who was a Tuskegee Airman from Greenview Circle. And the whole list is very long. We have a horticulturist, engineer, stockbroker, a judgeship.
Ms. Campbell, you are out of time, and we have one more speaker, so could you kind of wrap it up, and I'll give Ms. Wilder 1 minute.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. I apologize. We just had a time limit.
Thank you for your support.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. All right, Ms. Wilder, we ran over, but I'll throw an extra minute on there.
All right, I'll just be as fast as I can. Hi, I'm Mary Wilder. I've lived in the Valentine Evergreen neighborhood since 1974, bought my house in 1976. I live at 672 North Idlewild. I own 2 different houses, so it's hard to remember which one I lived in now. I did the National Register nomination with over 120 volunteers back in the 1996 period. I am wholeheartedly in support of the Landmark District overlay. I believe that it puts neighborhoods in charge, and it was the wisdom of this city council in 1975 when you adopted this ordinance. So thank you so very much, and I look forward to your voting yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Wilder. That closes colleagues' public comment. I'll now recognize Councilman Canale. You're recognized.
I'll yield the floor to Councilman Carlisle. I'll go after him, please.
Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of VECA and the board, thank you for your comments. I'm much more comfortable hearing from you. I appreciate the sentiment. I am very saddened to hear just a more to the point about what's going on with home ownership in VECA like it is in other neighborhoods. It's certainly it hurts to hear that there's so many out of town and out of country homeowners. That really is something that this body should work on. And we've talked about it just as a side note that a lot of these homeowners are institutional portfolio owners and they're renting these homes and they're doing it under the guise of the residential tax rate versus the commercial tax rate, which they really shouldn't be doing. I'm going to support your landmarks today, but I am concerned about individuals. This body often talks about my expertise in development, and it's really not. I fake it pretty good. But I know that this is a very robust document, and it's got a flow chart, and there's a bunch of rules. But the average person is going to struggle with what's in here. And I think it's incumbent upon this leadership group that is the driving force behind this to really reach out and assist those that need the assistance. That also goes to Administrator Whitehead. When this fee schedule comes on, there are going to be people that are not going to be able, that fee could be cumbersome for them and their monthly cash flow. And so I hope that VECA and its membership will think through a process and or reach out to nonprofit foundations. Community Lift I saw was in here to help assist people that really need that. Because as I mentioned with Crosstown Mound, it's sometimes it's that law of unintended consequence that can really stymie something or harm somebody. And so I'm going to put that on you. I'm still also a little concerned with the size, but nonetheless, this board clearly has put in the effort in the organization and done its best to reach out. And so we'll go down this path and we'll see what it looks like in 10, 15, 20 years. I wish you the best. With that, I yield the floor.
Thank you very much, Councilman Carlisle. Councilman Canale, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I knew that the developer would say it better than I would, so I let him go first. But I would echo Councilman Carlisle's sentiment. I also am going to support your request today, but I would ask that you keep in mind and work towards a mechanism to help the low-income, less fortunate property owners in VECA if they need some assistance in these new regulations become financially burdensome upon them. So I would second his request and ask that you keep them in mind as you move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Mr. Thomas is recognized.
Okay, all right. Thank you, colleagues Canale and Carlisle, for your support on this. I just asked for the rest of my colleagues' support. I am a resident of VECA. I'm on the outer quadrant, so the last street on the north side of where VECA has overlay. And I will just say that out of the 16 districts that Director Whitehead put up, to my knowledge, I only counted 2. I'm counting Glenview and Ansdale, Snowden, of the 2 that may be majority black and brown. And so just thinking about the architectural and aesthetic protections that are provided by historic overlays, especially when we experience economic distress such as now, is very important. I don't know if you've been paying attention to District 7 like I have, but so within this pandemic year, so much land and lots and houses have been snatched up by out-of-town developers, out-of-country developers, and who knows what design plans they have for renovation or new homes that just may be hastily done to flip for profit. And then we have to live with the trajectory of those designs. So I'm just asking the rest of my colleagues to join me in support of this VECA historic overlay. I'm glad that you all voted in favor of Crosstown. It's my district too. So we're hoping that for District 7, we can get the same protections that you see in other neighborhoods that may not be as black and brown as these 2.
All right, well said, Council Lady. Okay, moved by Council Lady Easter Thomas, seconded by Councilman Warren. I see no members in the queue. I assume you're ready to vote for item 12. Please prepare the screens and cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canali, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Jefferson, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Warrington, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Covett, yes.
Congratulations, that item passes. Okay, let's skip out to item 38. Talk about 1925 Union. Hey, y'all aren't having enough fun yet.
38 is a resolution
After that should be
requesting
easy.
approval of the sale.
Hold one, Val. Everybody, if y'all could leave the chambers just a little quieter, please.
Known as 1925 Union Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee 38104. Parcel ID number 016052 00029. 016052 0028 and 016052 00022, the former Union Avenue Police Precinct. This resolution is sponsored by General Services.
Councilman Smiley.
Committee may recommend approval on so moved.
No, we did not. Could you clear the screen? Let him move it, please, just so I got multiple names on there. There we go. Move it.
Move down with no recommendation.
I can't move. Give me a second. Somebody second it. There we go. All right, it's been moved by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilman Morgan. I think we already had enough presentations on that. Does anybody ever wish to speak on this item? Do I have a comment card?
Yes, sir.
I do. Vice Chair Lady, you're recognized.
Eight 839 Stonewall Street, Memphis, Tennessee 38107. Good day, Memphis City Council. The old police precinct property at 1925 Union is a prime piece of real estate owned by the city of Memphis. The market value is worth more than $3.5 million. Estimates and appraisals have been in the range of $6 million. As a fellow Memphian and taxpayer, I would like to see the city receive fair market value for this property on Union Avenue. Underselling and undervaluing property owned by the city, like the 1925 Union Avenue property, does not benefit the city and taxpayers in the long run. Furthermore, the real estate market in general and for Midtown properties suggests fair market value and above is very attainable right now. Thank you for your service to the city of Memphis.
Outstanding. Thank you, Madam Vice Chairman. It was moved by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilman Morgan. I see no members of the queue. I assume you're ready to vote on item 38. Please prepare the screens and cast your votes.
Carlisle, no. Canali, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Johnson, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Covett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. All right, let's knock our, thanks for coming down, guys. Thanks for your extra work. All right, let's knock our same night minutes out. Call item 43.
Item number 43 is an added change order to appropriate additional contract construction funds in the amount of $181,564 for streetscape and improvement for Elvis Presley Boulevard from Commercial Parkway to Winchester. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works, and there's a request for same night minutes.
Thank you very much, Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, the committee may recommend approval. I so move.
Oh, digitally? Been moved by Councilman Smiley, second by Councilman Swearengin. See no members of the queue. I assume you're ready to vote on item 43. Please, press screens, cast your votes.
Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Johnson, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearengin, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Please call item 44.
Item number 44 is the resolution to transfer and appropriate construction funds in the amount of $271,019.41 for project number PW 18100, PW 20103, FY20, CIP resurfacing Group 2 asphalt paving. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works. There's a request for same night minutes.
Thank you very much, Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, committee may recommend approval. I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Smiley, seconded by Councillady Johnson. Seeing no members of the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 44. Please press the screen. Cast your votes.
Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Johnson, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearengin, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Please call item 45.
Item number 45 is a resolution to transfer and appropriate construction funds in the amount of $566,194.90 for project number PW 17100, FY20, CIP resurfacing Group 1 asphalt paving. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works. There's a request for same night minutes.
Thank you very much, Councilman Smiley.
Committee may recommend approval, and I so move.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Smiley, seconded by Councilman Canale. I see no members of the queue. Assume you're ready to vote on item 45. Cast your votes.
Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Johnson, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearengin, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Call item 46.
Item 46 is a resolution for the FY22 CIP project number PW 22103 in the amount of $6,500,000 for the paving operations performed by Public Works or directly by Street Maintenance Department. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works. There's a request for same night minutes.
Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, the committee met, recommended approval, and I so move.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councilman Smiley, seconded by Councilman Warren. Seeing no members of the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 46. Please cast your votes.
Canale, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearengin, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colvett, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Let's go back and have our consent agenda. Item 47 is withdrawn, by the by. Consent agenda, please.
I'm going there. I have mouse problems. On our consent agenda, we'll start with item number 14, an ordinance to amend, it's up for first reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 33, Article 1, Article 2, Divisions 1 through 4, Article 3, Divisions 1 through 4, to delete Article 2, Divisions 5 and 6, and to create a new Article 4, Divisions 1 through 6 of the City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, to update permits and discharge associated requirements for industrial and other users of the city sewer system in accordance with federal and state regulations, and to provide for protection of the city's publicly owned treatment works, including the sanitary sewer collection system. Up for first reading, ordinance number 5793 is sponsored by Councilman Carlisle. Item number 15 is a substitute ordinance to to amend the City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 16, Health and Sanitation, to protect public health and the environment, preserve the Memphis Sand Aquifer, and promote environmental justice. Up for first reading, ordinance number 5794 is sponsored by Councilman Warren. Item number 16 is an ordinance amending ordinance number 5367 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Memphis, Tennessee, adopted on August 10th, 2010, as amended, known as the Memphis and Shelby County Unified Development Code, so as to make certain changes in the use districts provided in said ordinance. Up for first reading, this ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is Z21-05, and the ordinance number is 5791. Item number 17 is an ordinance amending Chapter 8.5 of Ordinance number 5367 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Memphis, Tennessee, adopted on August 10th, 2010, as amended, known as the Memphis and Shelby County Unified Development Code, to delete a section of the Central Avenue residential corridor. Up for first reading, this ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is RC 21-05, ordinance number 5792. Item number 18 is a notation from DPD that the Land Use Control Board heard this case and has made a recommendation date of a public hearing for case number PD 21-20, 35 Central Development. And please note that this suggested date is August 17th, 2021. And item number 19 is a resolution accepting Port Elite Early Childhood Academy 2 and authorizing release of bond. The contract number is CR-5320. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our consent agenda items.
Apologies. Thank you very much. It was moved by Councilman Carlisle, seconded by Council Lady Robinson. I see no members in the queue, so please cast your votes on the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we cast our votes, colleagues, I need to make one quick change. Item 14, bottom of it says ordinance 5793 is sponsored by Councilman Carlisle. It's sponsored by Public Works.
I'm very passionate about sewer system. I want that.
Public Works it is. You're passionate about sewer. Okay, that's cool. I get it. I'm down. Cast your votes. Yep.
Carlisle, yes. Canali, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Warrington, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Collette, yes.
Johnson, yes. This item passed. Madam Comptroller, please call MLGW fiscal consent agenda.
That will take us to item number
20.
Resolution approving change number 1. One moment, please. Thank you. Item number 20 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 11922, corporate backup hardware with Thomas Consultants Incorporated, to ratify and renew the current contract in the funded amount of $46,390.40. Item number 22 is a resolution awarding contract number 12308, BTG Now Maintenance Software Service Agreement to BG2 Now in the funded amount of $102,636. Item number 22 is a resolution approving change number 2 to contract number 11595, Telbit Maintenance Agreement with Schneider Electric Smart Grid Solutions, LLC, formerly Telbit USA, LLC, in the funded amount of $239,700. Item number 23 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12304, formerly purchase order number 7015763, Beam Backup and Replication Enterprise Plus annual production with Logicalis Inc. in the funded amount of $88,211.55. Item number 24 is a resolution approving a position for Pipeline Integrity Engineer 3. Item number 25 is the resolution approving change number 3 to contract number 12023, aerial patrol of gas transmission right-of-way with Tennessee Helicopter Services, Inc. in the funded amount of $60,000. Item number 26 is a resolution awarding contract number 12194, NERC Professional Engineering Compliance Consultant to Guidehouse, Inc. in the funded amount of $1,074,508.44. Item number 27 is a resolution approving change number 6 to contract number 11427, audio log recorders upgrade with Carolina Recording System in the funded amount of $51,276.39. Item number 28 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 11954, basic loan distance with HTT Corporation in the funded amount of $68,629.94. Item number 29 is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Travis Pattern and Foundry, Inc. for replacement fittings in the amount of $141,974.65. Item number 30 is a resolution awarding contract number 12280, South Service Center repaving to Lehman Roberts Company in the funded amount of $774,389.50. Item number 31 is a resolution awarding contract number 12281, Hickory Hill Service Center repaving to A&D Construction Company, Inc. in the funded amount of $522,448.12. And our final item is number 32. It's a resolution awarding a 24-month purchase order to M&H Valve Company for fire hydrants in the amount of $1,133,406.46.
This item has been moved by Councilman Jones. It's been seconded by Councilwoman Robinson. There's no one in the queue. I assume we're ready for the vote. Madam Comptroller, please clear the screen. Let's cast your votes.
Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
This item passed. Madam Comptroller, let's go to the regular agenda, starting with item number 33.
Item number 33 is appointment to the Memphis and Shelby County Building Code Authority. We have a reappointment, Antonio Bologna. To the Memphis and Shelby County Board of Adjustment, we have 2 reappointments, Mary Baker and Timothy Rainey.
Councilman Carlisle.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
This has been moved by Councilman Carlisle, seconded by Councilwoman Robinson. There's no one in the queue. I assume we're ready for the vote. Madam Comptroller, thank you so much. Let's cast our votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
This item passed. Madam Comptroller, item number 34, please.
Item 34 will be held until August 3rd, so I will do 35.
Thank you very kindly. Let's proceed to item number 35.
Item number 35 is an ordinance to amend the City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Garbage, Trash, Refuse, and Solid Waste, Article 1, Division 4, disposal, and removal of personal property regarding landlords or property owners up for third and final reading. Ordinance number 5790 is sponsored by Councilman Smiley, Councilwoman Robinson, Councilman Warren, Councilwoman Easter Thomas, Councilman Jones, and Councilwoman Logan.
Thank you very kindly. It's been moved by Councilman Smiley.
Madam Chair, the committee met, recommend approval, and I so move.
Thank you very kindly. I see two individuals in the queue. Councilman Morgan.
And I want to thank and commend Councilman Smiley on this. You know, you've identified a problem that we all see it. We've driven by just in terms of the set outs and the property and it piling up and creating an eyesore and a blight and a problem for people on the street, also for the tenants. And you came at this and you were able to pivot and address and take feedback. And this is actually kind of legislation as I like that this body can do and do well. Now, there's been attempts by the state government to preempt us on this. It kind of reminds me of the plastic bag ordinance that we did or tried a couple years ago. I have been advised that we have not been preempted, that we can move forward with this. And if people want to challenge that in court, that may be coming. But essentially, we identified a problem. We're going to try to address it. There might be unintended consequences. The market's always going to have a reaction to it. But I think this is a genuine effort by this body and the sponsors in trying to address that. And I just want to take the time to, stand this aside from other, resolutions and ordinances that this council does, where I do appreciate everybody's work and diligence on this, and especially hats off to Councilman Smiley. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, Councilman Morgan. Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you, Chair, so much. Let me first, I am in support of this ordinance, but my concern is the enforcement of it. How are we going to ensure that everyone is treated fairly? This ordinance does not just limit it to people that are so-called evicted. It's to anybody who owns property and they place the property on the outside. Too often I've heard comments from individuals in regards to basic trash pickup. My neighbor wasn't charged, but I was charged a fee to get my tree limbs. So my question is, and I would like to see, and I talked to Director Connect, you came in, how are we going to enforce this, and what type of economic impact is this going to cost the city in order to implement this particular ordinance? And what kind of assurance will I have everybody's going to be treated fairly?
Thank you. Could you please say your name and address for the record?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Robert Connect, Public Works Director, City of Memphis, 125 North Main Street.
Thank you very kindly.
We are obviously uncertain about some of the impacts of this because we don't really have the data we would like to have on set outs. So we have a lot of uncertainty to try to determine what it will cost us to ultimately enforce this. It will be a learning curve in order to understand how all the landlords will comply or how they ultimately will comply should this ordinance be passed. Our goal with any enforcement action is obviously to obey the law, the letter of the law to the letter, to ensure that we are consistent in enforcement. So that is the goal that environmental enforcement and code enforcement would partake, is to ensure that it is consistent and that there is no favoritism shown towards any owner of a property. So we know that historically there was about 6,000 legal set outs last year. I just don't know how many illegal set outs and how many didn't go to court and they just forced eviction upon the tenant before, and move their belongings out. That's why it's hard for me to come up with a rationale for that. That's why I didn't say that just out of saying it. That's why, just to be clear, that's what the difficulty is in coming up with the cost impact.
Chair, yes, ma'am. My only concern is too that we know at this point, dealing with COVID and the number of the possibly evictions over there, who knows, it may be as high as 10,000 from just some general information pending. So I just find it interesting how we're going to enforce it if we're going to do it. So may I ask a friendly amendment. Can we say the effective date for this will be in 6 months? And at that time, we may be able to work out some of the details and maybe get some of these evictions out the way and let's start on a new slate. If that would be possible for, you could agree to a 6 month. Well, let's go for 9 and go with 6. How about 6 months, a friendly amendment for 6?
Are there any objections to this friendly amendment?
The amendment, 90 days, 3 months. I think that gives us enough time to kind of work out enforcement, what that would look like, because we do know that there are thousands of FPDs currently pending General Sessions Court. And what I don't want to happen is this be a period of time where we have multiple landlords saying, we know that in 6 months this is going to happen, let's throw everybody's stuff on the street. And we do not want the city of Memphis to be titled the dirtiest city in the United States. So if the maker of the amendment would amend it to 3 months, I wouldn't oppose.
Okay, I will amend it to 3 months. If you
Accept it.
Good compromise right there.
Thank you so much. Mr. Connect, thank you for, I knew it would be a difficult task, and I guess you'll just have to come back and report what you're running into down the road in regards to trying to honor this ordinance. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Did you have any other comments?
No, I guess I can be a co-sponsor. Would you allow me to be a co-sponsor, Mr. Fowler? Thank you.
All of the people to support.
Thank you.
So I will withdraw from the queue and then put myself after Councilman Jones.
Councilman Jones?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is going to, I guess, this 90-day hold. And does anybody have an update as far as where do we stand as far as the moratorium on eviction? So if that expires, okay, so, you know, going back to your point, I don't want us to have this huge number of set outs and we are postponing having something in place to address this. I think when we weigh which is a greater risk, having a huge number of set outs or the implementation of this, I think that I'm of the opinion that we probably need to have this in place if the moratorium is at the end of this month. Otherwise, we could have trash everywhere.
Director Connect, can you please?
Yeah, I would like to add, I know that the ERA still has adequate funding, and I know there are several years of funding available for the eviction assistance program, the ERA eviction assistance program, because we are helping with ACD and managing that and making sure that those landlords are in compliance when they receive funding from the EA program, that the properties are not, you know, not in compliance with our code enforcement regular requirements. So from my understanding, there is still pretty significant amount of funding, and there are several years of it planned. But I think we'd have to get ACD to come in here and talk about the current status. But I know that program was funded for several years. Then that's to eliminate eviction just because of the inability to pay.
Well, but that's not preventing me from driving down Dunn and seeing stuff set out right now. And we're under an eviction moratorium. I still think that this hold, we still have evictions taking place if I just base it upon driving down certain neighborhoods, even in this period where there's not supposed to be any. So I think that I still go back to having a hold in place. We don't have anything as far as this issue and this set out. Not talking about 7, 8 years from now, I'm talking about what's taking place under this COVID moratorium, if you would. That would be my concern about this. And I think that we're at that point now, not looking at something 7, 8 years down the road, much less 6 months down the road. I'm strictly addressing, do we need to have a 6 month or even a 90-day or definitely not a 6 month. I think it was a friendly acceptance of the amendment to make it 90 days. But if we have 11 days before a moratorium expires, I think we need to have some mechanism in place. That's my concern about this. So I would be against that whole.
You have any other questions for Director Connect? Councilman Smiley?
So you all know I love a good argument, and Councilman Jones made a really good argument. So, you know, with that in mind, I'm going to withdraw my acceptance of the friendly amendment, if that's possible. Attorney Wade, that is possible. And I would love to hear from my other colleagues, because we do know the end of this month, we're in trouble. And thank you, Attorney Wade.
Attorney Wade, would you like to address that, please?
Yes, he can withdraw his friendly amendment, which means you would have to vote on Councilwoman Johnson's proposed amendment, assuming she got a second for it.
Councilwoman Johnson, you still have a friendly amendment?
Yes.
You have a second? Anyone to second
I
it?
wanted to for the 90 days. I'd like to make a comment, though. May I make a comment at this time?
I can't hear you.
May I make a comment at this time prior to that? My concern is this particular ordinance does create a hardship for the landlords. We need at least to give them the courtesy to be made aware of it and to let them know what's going to take place. In some cases, this cost will be passed on to the tenant eventually in due time. So it's a possibility that individuals whose leases may be getting renewed may be hit with a new fee called eviction fee in the event. So I think that it's only be courtesy to give the landlords and people affected by an opportunity to adjust. We got a tendency to make a law change overnight and think everybody's supposed to understand and accept it. We need to start being a little bit more reasonable in regards to how other people feel about some of these decisions. So I support it. I don't want to see any more trash on the street. But I think if you're going to change somebody's business plan, you at least need to give them a courtesy of 90 days to become aware of it. 90 days.
Do we have a second for this friendly amendment?
Yeah, I make a motion for 90 days again, since Smiley backed
There's
out.
a second for this friendly amendment of 90 days.
He backed out. I need a second.
Point of inquiry, go forward.
The motion that was made in the amendment, that will not affect anything. Then you just say you had enough to cover right now, even though it's gonna expire on the 30th?
I was talking about funding that's available to, people who will not be evicted if they qualify. That was the point, that there was an opportunity for funding still available to reduce the number of evictions potentially could happen due to inability to pay.
Right.
So
it would not affect anything. Okay. That's all I want to know. I know how much.
Do we have a second for this friendly amendment?
Second.
Yeah, second. Thank you.
It's been properly second. Is there a discussion? Councilman Jones, open discussion.
I have a friend of mine who's watching, who I guess has nothing else to do than watch city council meetings. But one of the issues that she raises, our issue is the floodgates of the courts reopening. And so she's still saying, please no to 6 months, and even please no to 6 months. I know we're at 90 days, but with the courts reopening and everything taking place, I just don't know if it's our best. I don't think it's in the city's best interest for us to hold on this. With this being an ordinance, I would contend, though, that this being the third reading, I don't know if it's taken the full schedule. So we've had proper, people may not have read the news or seen the news about this, but as far as providing public notice, this is not a resolution. An ordinance has to take a course of 3 readings to be approved. And somebody can tell me, did we send this down the first time it was in the committee? So have there been 4 meetings that this has been discussed? Okay. So with that, I would think that we provided public notice that this is going to be coming down the pipe. Those are my thoughts. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has a discussion regarding this amendment? Councilwoman Logan?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just wanted to see if Councilwoman Johnson could elaborate a bit on how you feel the landlords are going to be negatively or adversely impacted. Or Councilman Smiley. Can you turn on your mic?
No, go ahead. Okay, so with any particular piece of legislation, when you're trying to effectuate change, there's going to be consequences associated with it. And, you know, what you have to do is you weigh all of the potential consequences. One of the particular issues with this particular piece of legislation that I had to take a look at and had several conversations with land owners, property owners, landlords, was about a potential cost associated with evicting tenants and potentially moving their items. What we discussed, you know, and what they did in Baltimore, a city who has adopted a more stringent ordinance than we have here, essentially what they do is there's a slight increase in the deposit, because the deposit, we talk about eviction fee. What we know is the deposit is essentially that eviction fee. When you evict a tenant, they fail to pay rent, you use the deposit to make repairs to a property and also effectuate whatever FED process that you have, forcible entry and detainer action, eviction. In addition to that, when you file an FED action before the court and you're able to actually physically serve the tenant, what you ask the court for is damages, back rent, and court costs. So some of those damages may be attorney fees. Some of those damages may be fees you use to effectuate moving someone's property and back rent. So all of the fees are associated with this action would actually be handled before a sitting judge. The judge, in my opinion, has the ability to make sound decisions as it relates to an FED action. So there are some issues with it, but that's what the court of law is for. Your mic just like mine. Hang on.
Green. Okay.
I just turned you on. Go ahead.
I remember her mentioning something about the landlord has to evict the tenant, put their things out, wait a certain amount of days, and then get a company to come back, pick it up, and then dispose of it, as opposed to just doing it the first time and disposing of it. Is that
okay? So Attorney Wade, I'm gonna tag you in here in a second. So the normal process for an FED action is an eviction action. You file an FED action before the court. You're gonna pay $102.50 or something like that. Then you're gonna pay either a process server or a sheriff. Sheriff is $45. Process server uses $50. So you're paying approximately $152.50 to file the FED action. You go before the judge and you request back rent, associated costs, and possession. In addition to that, assuming the judge grants you possession of the property, grants you the damages that you're seeking, in addition to that, you have 10 days from the date the judgment is entered to move out. The tenant will have 10 days from the date the judgment is entered. But the tenant does not move out. The landlord then goes back to the court and files what's called a writ of possession. And then once you file the writ of possession, at that point in time, whether you're having a sheriff execute the writ or you're having some type of private company come execute the writ, then you have usually 2 or 3 more days before they come and execute the writ of possession. And then at that point in time, the tenant things, if they haven't got it over usually about 10 to 13 days, is then moved out. So we're talking about ample time, and we're talking about costs already accumulated because it's been filed before the court. Are you following me about the process? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at that point, you can't dispose of them. You have to let it sit out 48 hours.
Attorney Wade, tag.
I'm just asking for I'm just asking so everybody would hear on public record.
Click on me. The state law requires a landlord to wait 72 hours after the order is entered before they can execute the writ of possession, meaning before the sheriff or moving company can take the property and put it outside the premises.
Oh, okay.
So that's by law. Our ordinance doesn't kick in until after that period of time. At that point, the landlord-tenancy relationship has been legally severed. They are no longer a landlord. They are just like you and I, a property owner putting my couch and my bed on the street. This ordinance doesn't change anything. They have been subjected to this ordinance all along. Councilman Smiley just wanted it to be specific that these landlords would also be subject to it. So they have been incurring this cost and been subject to Public Works coming to get their stuff forever. And will continue to be, whether we pass this or we don't. What this does, however, and the state law says you cannot put any property in the right of way. You can't put it in the street, okay? We have backed it up saying you can't put it in the right of way or on the sidewalk. You got to put it on your property. That is a significant change. They still are subject to Public Works picking it up if it's there too long, if it's a blight on the community, which you have been stressing 150 times since I've been here. You have been the biggest proponent. Get that stuff out of our face, okay? Right. That's what this will do. Now, whether Public Works can do it or not, whether the volume is too big, that's going to be there anyway. I mean, if it's too big, they won't be picking it up anyway. So I don't see what we're going now. And I understand Councilwoman Johnson believes that in the future, the effect of this is going to cause landlords to increase security deposits, cost to tenants, and whatever. But the immediate impact is going to make sure that when we have this onslaught of set-outs after this moratorium is over, we're going to be in a position to do something about it and recoup the cost. It's going to be on us. As you know, we can't pay for what we're doing now.
Right.
So, I mean, come on. That's what this is about. Let's just put it on. So if I put my bed and my couch on the curb, they're going to come get me. They're going to charge me. Why should it be different for anyone else? That's what this ordinance does. So maybe Councilwoman Johnson can speak to that in the context of what her concern is. But I want you to understand what the impact of this ordinance really is.
Thank you. I just want to, that was just a point of clarification for me, and I wanted to make sure that the public heard it as well. But you articulated what I needed to hear. So thank you. Thank you, Chair. Are you okay?
All right, and guys, I cleared the queue. Carlisle, Warren, Robinson are back in. Let's speak. Do we have further questions on the amendment? Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized. I'm sorry.
Oh, the amendment.
The amendment has been withdrawn. We are back to the main motion. And Councilman Carlisle, I'll still recognize you.
Well, thanks, Chair.
Did that sound that way? I'm sorry, man.
It's been a long day. But I think there's one thing that I agree with everything that Attorney Wade is saying. But I'm not so sure that our solid waste department recognizes what is and isn't a commercial property when they're pulling up to a residential home that was for rent. And that's where, for me, this addresses the issue. Whether or not, to Attorney Wade's point, they will enforce it and recoup the cost. Doing so, you know, we're going to have to lean on we're going to have to see how this goes, right? It may or may not work. But this always goes back to, for me, is that you've got portfolio managers from across the United States and in other countries that own a significant amount of homes. And that's where, for me, I'm concerned, because it's one thing for solid waste to know when they pull up to an 18-unit apartment building that that's a commercial property owner, and that's their responsibility to pay to remove that property from the public right-of-way or their property. When it's in front of a house, I'd be willing to bet my bottom dollar that the majority of the time it's the solid waste department coming by on their schedule and picking that stuff up and moving it, because they're just going to assume that that's just a homeowner throwing something out. That's where I'm at. So for me, this very specifically states that whether it's a residence or an apartment, we're treating you as a commercial property owner and you're responsible for the removal of those belongings, period. So that's kind of how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but don't tell me that. I just want to move forward.
All right, thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, one thing that I think we should consider is that we still have a large amount of funds for rent assistance. And, you know, essentially, if you're worried about whether moving this forward now is going to make more people be evicted, I don't think so. I think it may make landlords who've been reluctant to take this rental assistance and go through the process more likely to do that if they know they're going to have to pay for the cost of evicting someone. So we've got the money that the landlords can get. They didn't want to go through the hassle of that. If they have to go the hassle of having to go to court and pay for this, I think they're going to take the money and we'll have fewer evictions, because this may be one way that we could get fewer evictions, because landlords now have a hassle factor for evictions that they didn't have before. And Chief McGowan can speak about it. We have a large amount of funds that are still gone wasted or not used that could be used for this purpose. So I recommend we just move forward with Councilman Jones's suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Warren. Council Lady Robinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted us to make sure that we don't get off of course. Our city needs to be cleaned up. Number one. Number two, landlords, whoever owns the property, is responsible for what's on their property. Three, if you don't know whether it's a set out or not, they should provide us a list every day from the court to say these were set outs today, and we'll know where they are. It is not that hard. Let's clean up our city. Let's make the citizens of Memphis proud, and let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And going back, and I hear your concern, Councilwoman Johnson. My question is, what are we doing? And what made me think about this, Councilman Warren, is what are we doing to let the public know about the availability of these funds? You know, if I'm a landlord and I have the choice, I may not know that this money exists. So from a city standpoint, how are we letting landlords know? How are we letting tenants know that instead of going through this process and hassle of going through the eviction process, going down to General Sessions Court, I can instead take this route to do so. So I would like to hear how we are addressing that and making this information known to everybody. Is it on the website? You know, I think at this point, without being 11 days out from doomsday, if you would, this should be one of the things that's prominently displayed on the city's website, the county's website, whether it's ESA, CRA, CSA, you know, just the different entities out there.
Yes, sir, you named them all, so I think you've done the job for us.
Okay.
On the city's website, county's website, CSA, and yes, sir. So they've done a really good job about the Emergency Rent Assistance Program, the ERA program. Didn't make people aware. As I mentioned before, the funding is pretty well established for several years.
Okay. And, you know, it could be one of those things that I'm not looking for that information, but if we're employing next door, some of the other conventional or unconventional or more social media marketing, you know, my concern is, are we sufficiently and adequately getting the word out there that this assistance is available? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're good. Thank you very much. Council Lady Logan, you're recognized.
Just to build on what Councilman Jones said, we also have a list of all of the neighborhood associations. They apply for those crime prevention grants, and so as well as the partnerships. And I think that's a great way to communicate with citizenry when you can push it out through at the grassroots level like that by sending out emails to all of them to share that. You're back, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Council Lady Logan. Councilman Smiley, you recognize. Why don't you close us out on this?
All right, thank you. First, I want to thank my colleagues for adopting the initial resolution that kind of started it all. We decided that blight was a problem. We decided that the city was in need of immediate beautification. So we were trying to build on that with this resolution. I also want to thank Attorney Wade for making sure that we're in compliance with state law. But I also want to encourage each member of this body to continue building on this. The job of beautifying, addressing blight I think it's something that we have to work on every single day, because I don't think there's one resolution, one ordinance that we can put into place to affect the type of change the city needs. So hopefully we're in the lab. I think that's what we get paid to do, is to make our city better, to make our city clean, make it a place where everyone can enjoy and be happy to say, I'm from the 901 and I'm glad and I'm grateful to call this place home. So hopefully we're all in the lab working on something to make this city better. And also thank all of my colleagues for supporting this ordinance, and let's push forward and keep doing what we're supposed to do. And with that, call for the question.
Thank you very much. It's been moved by Councilman Smiley, second by Councilman Canale. I see no members of the queue. Assume you're ready to vote on item 35. Please prepare the screen. Cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Morgan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you very much. That item passes. Call item 36.
Item number 36 is a resolution to transfer an allocation of $75,000 from PK 20100 Parks Cover Line to GA 01031 Play Yard Renovation and appropriate same. This resolution is sponsored by the Finance Division.
Thank you very much. Council Lady Easter Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. The committee met and sent down no recommendation because with this, it's simple, but nobody was there to talk about it. So we just want to make sure that folks know that they got to be there to talk about their items. So I'll move it now.
I think it's been moved digitally by Council Lady Easter Thomas, second by Councilman Warren. Chief, you're recognized.
Thank you for that, Chairman. And let me start by apologizing to the council. It was a mix-up in communication. Chief Ford was out last week. Typically, we cover for each other. I failed to be there, so it's my fault that we weren't there for the recommendation. This is a transfer of $75,000 from the Parks cover line that came out of last year's cover line. As we entered into the budget season, Ms. Pugh brought to me the need to do the play yard at MAS. We have a real drainage problem there when the dogs are out in the back in their playtime and we introduce them to the public. If it's rainy, everybody comes in covered with mud. It is a flooding problem. It's erosion problem. So this will fix that problem, make a better customer service, better healthy conditions for the dogs. Rather than putting it into the FY22 budget, Ms. Ford and I, as we often do, will look for remaining balances in some other funds that were not executed at the end of the year, and that's what this was. There was about $75,000 in the Parks cover line. We talked to Director Walker, and he said he didn't have an immediate need at the end of the year he could execute it against. So to save us from putting it into the FY22 budget, we were just asking to transfer that appropriation over so we can fix the play yard. And again, my apologies for not being present to explain this last council meeting.
Thank you very much, Chief. I see no members in the queue. It was moved by Council Lady Easter Thomas, seconded by Councilman Warren. I see no members in the queue. Cast your votes. Item 36.
Carlisle, yes. Cadella, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Call item 37.
Item number 37 is a resolution to accept funding from Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, Volkswagen Diesel Settlement Environmental Mitigation Trust, VW Settlement, Medium and Large Truck Grant Program in the amount of $999,779.29 to be used for partial funding for the purchase of medium and large trucks. This resolution is sponsored by Fire Services.
Thank you very much, Councilman Warren.
The committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Warren, second by Council Lady Robinson. Seeing no members of the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 37. Prepare the screen. Count your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Please call item 39.
Item number 39 is a resolution to accept, allocate, and appropriate grant funds in the amount of $52,000 from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office to finance the city's work to reduce violent crime in Shelby County, Tennessee, through collaborative federal, state, and local criminal justice efforts. This resolution is sponsored by Police Services.
Thank you very much, Councilman Warren.
Yes, the committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Warren, second by Councilman Carlisle. Council Lady Logan, you're recognized. Oh, that was from the previous one? You're good to go? Okay. All right. Moved by Councilman Warren, second by Councilman Carlisle. Seeing no members in the queue, seem ready to vote. Item 39, Caston.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Call item 40.
Item number 40 is a resolution appropriating $1 million in GEO bonds to LED traffic signal replacement, project number EN 01096. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works.
Thank you very much, Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, the committee may recommend approval, and I so move.
Been moved by Councilman Smiley, second by Council Lady Logan. Seeing no members of the queue, seem ready to vote on item 40. Please cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Call item 41.
Item number 41 is a resolution amending the FY22 capital improvement budget by transferring and allocation and appropriating $590,000 in GEO bonds from traffic signals, project number EN 22100, to traffic signal fixtures and furniture, project number EN 01109, for the purchase of traffic signal equipment needed for emergency maintenance and construction throughout FY22. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works.
Thank you very much, Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, the committee may recommend approval, and I so move.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councilman Smiley, second by Council Lady Johnson. Seeing no members of the queue, seem ready to vote on item 41. Cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. How you feeling, Carlisle? 2 hours of sleep starting to catch up on you? Well, there's only one case left. I can drag it out if you'd like. Madam Comptroller, call item 42.
Item number 42 is a resolution amending the FY22 capital improvement budget by transferring an allocation and appropriation of $1,350,000 in GEO bonds from the traffic calming devices cover line EN 22200 to speed hump installation group 12, project number EN 01099. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Public Works.
Thank you very much. Councilman Smiley.
Mr. Chair, the committee may recommend approval, and I so move.
Outstanding. Moved by Councilman Smiley, second by Council Lady Logan. See no members of the queue, seem ready to vote on item 42. Please press screens and cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Canale, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Ford, yes. Johnson, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Chairman Colette, yes.
Thank you. That item passes. Madam Vice Chairman, do you have our same night minutes?
Same night minute items are item number 43, 44, 45, 46, and 48, and I so move.
and 48. Hold on, let me make sure. I don't think we had, did we have an item 48? Oh, that's right, we did the extra. My bad, thank you very much. Everybody clear on that? Very good. It's been moved by Vice Chair Lady Swearingen digitally. Been moved by Council Lady Swearingen, second by Councilman Carlisle. Seeing the members of the Chair seem ready to vote in the same 9 minutes, please cast your votes.
Carlisle, yes. Connelly, yes. Easter Thomas, yes. Jones, yes. Logan, yes. Robinson, yes. Smiley, yes. Swearingen, yes. Warren, yes. Johnson, yes. Ford, yes. Brown, yes. No, Chairman Covet, yes.
Very good. That item passes, same 9 minutes. There are no further public comment cards. And as we stated earlier, public comment cards for planning and zoning that we did not hear will be submitted with the record. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? Move to adjourn. Move to adjourn without objection. We are adjourned. Thank you for playing.